told you. Go, get out of my mind. I refuse to be a soldier. Waste my time. Don't say I never told you. Go, get out of my mind. I refuse to be a soldier. Waste my time. Don't say I never told you. Go, get out of my mind. I refuse to be a soldier. Time
Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. This year, we're introducing structured competitive play in third-person perspective mode for players of all ranks, levels, and ability. Here's how it works in EMEA and Americas. PUBG Players Tour competition is held in 2-week phases. Each week, you and your squad can compete in player scrims. Think of these as a great alternative to ranked play. Each day of scrims will feature a variety of maps, with defined team and lobby sizes to ensure a balanced best-of-3 rounds. Teams will earn points based on their performance, and daily leaderboards will track their progress. When the scrims are over, the top teams will qualify for the PUBG Players Tour Cups, where they will be joined by up to 10 invited teams, featuring some of the best players in the region. Players Cup leaderboards will track team performances across 2 days of play, with the top 8 squads progressing to the final round of competition. Players Masters are the pinnacle of the PUBG Players Tournament. 8 teams from each of the 2 cups will engage in fierce competition for a huge prize pool in each region across the PUBG Players Tour season. And for times when a Players Masters isn't scheduled, you can still get your PUBG Players Tour fix with Super Cups. These work just like Masters events, where again, 16 teams, 8 from each of the 2 previous Players Cups, compete for a share of the total cash prize pool. Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. You know the game. Be a player.
PUBG Players Super Cup. It's Gibson and Chunks, and it is Grand Finals Sunday. Today we will find out who the first ever Super Cup winner will be, Chunks. And as it stands, there are 2 horses a little further ahead of the race than everybody else, but strange things have happened in Sundays on the past.
It certainly has. I mean, anyone who watched EU earlier will be aware of what happened. Win or die, able to get the win in the final day. It looked like Ascend were going to be able to take it, but seemingly not the case. It is time for the Super Cup, the PGS warm-up party almost. We are excited for a day of PUBG action. It is going to be non-stop from start to finish, but the big question mark for today, Gibson, has to be, will Liquid be able to carry on that momentum to hold on to first place, or could Alcudia come back and potentially snatch it from them?
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. Look, I think that Liquid have the advantage because they're in first place, and that's a position they like to be in. But if anybody likes that underdog mentality, it is Roth and Alcudia. They will look to close the gap. They've got 4 maps to do it tonight, starting on Miramar, then Tego, Rondo, and Erangel to finish the night. It'll be 12 games total, finishing up today after what's been a great weekend. But Chunks, you just mentioned it. PGS starting again tomorrow, the second one. Which region's winning? Are we going to see Falcons get it over the line this time after coming so close, or do you see someone else taking that win?
We're in Americas, aren't we? Like, we have to be biased. We have to say, yeah, Falcons are going to win this. I mean, it's only just starting. We'll have to wait and see. There's still a lot to be decided. Just as with our prize pool here, the top 8 teams will be getting a share of it. Obviously, you want that lion's share, but still, $200 for playing some PUBG, it is nothing to complain about. So everybody is fighting for the top 8. Alcudia are currently the team that are holding on to second place. They want to try and close up the gap to Liquid, but it's going to be such a difficult one because of that difference that Liquid have been able to hold on to so far. And I mean, you can see it right now. Sorry, 11 points between the 2 teams. Liquid, they were so dominant, and then you look at Alcudia and then the drop off down to Mira. It seems like it's a bit of a 2-horse race for first now.
Yeah, it's looking like a 2-horse race. Now, if Mira, LG, or even Njeka team come out of the traps with a 20-kill win, you never know. They could close that gap, but they have. But Liquid and Alcudia, they average so many points a map, Chunks. Like, even in games they don't win, they're usually 7, 8, 9, 10 points. Man, we've even seen the likes of Relo and others picking up 7+ kills in games that they didn't win. So you've got to close that gap while also minimizing the amount of damage the top 2 can do.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, one example of that obviously is going to be yesterday's, I think it was Artego game. No, it might have been Erangel in the end. But basically, Liquid, they went out early and then Mirror were there to immediately sponge up all of those points. It's Liquid that take the total kill lead at the moment. But when you look at terms of sheer damage and now finally survival time, Alcudia are getting up there, which is something that they struggled with in day number 1. Day number 2 was a huge change to that. So it's about momentum, isn't it? We keep talking about it. Can they keep it going? Can they potentially hamper Team Liquid? Now that we're playing a bit of a longer format, there is the opportunity for these teams to adapt and maybe focus their strategies around shutting down strong teams, strong players, and hopefully, if you're Alcudia, shutting down Luke 12.
Yeah, 25 kills over 8 maps. It's insane. Like, there's people in pubs lobbies with bots that don't even get anywhere near that average amount of kills. And this is inside of a lobby with Alcudia, with teams like Toyo, Mira. Like, it is difficult to get that many kills. But Luke 12 has been doing a great job. Sparking the same. But, you know, the dark horse, you know, Liquid, of course, are the horses out in front. But the dark horse is Andrew TD from Njeke team. He's been doing a phenomenal job for his team as well. And even though they won the first game of the weekend, and it's not really been many wins from for that point on, Andrew has proved himself to be a pretty nifty fragger, and he has caught my eye several times.
Yeah, absolutely. But at the end of the day, you have to remember there's 4 players on a team. We need to see more out of the rest of the squad. Now, that's not to discount what they've been able to do, but they're just not quite on that same level that Andrew has been on so far. We've seen really amazing things from Njeke. Yesterday over on Miramar, they made a really effective push over to the compound to be able to take it and defend it before having a really strong performance. But again, Andrew is the star player as of right now. It's time for the rest of Njeke to step up.
Yeah, we want to see more from them, but you know what? This is where players stand out. When teams look to make roster changes, like maybe after the couple of PGSs, or if teams don't qualify for EWC, you could see a couple of teams fishing around. Maybe they want to pick somebody up. Players like Andrew, with what they've been able to do, have shown they have the potential to make that step up. So we just got to wait and see what he can do. But as we said, this is the Super Cup. We're going to find out who the inaugural champions are going to be. We've had a couple of cups already that have been and gone with teams winning them. We've had a Masters event that has already been and gone. But this is the first Super Cup. And there's always some bragging rights, right, in being the first champion in something. Like, being the first champ is something that nobody can take away from you.
No, and, you know, it gives you a lot of confidence going into those later phases. I mean, I think all the way back to MPL, and you just think about Tempo Storm. They won the first season of MPL, and then they went on and won, I think, every other season. So it shows that if you get your foot in the door, you can show your dominance early, then it's just a case of improving gradually, working on things, and just keeping that gap between you and the rest of the lobby. Now, I should point out, by the way, we do have a bit of a technical issue at the moment, so we're just going to miss the first minute of the game. There doesn't appear to be any hot drops coming out. I do have the map feed in front of me. We do have Penella Good over in Los Leones with Liquid, so that will be one to keep an eye out for once we get into the game, which is happening right now, Gibson.
Yeah, we are into the game. We had that technical issue, but you didn't really miss anything. 64 players are still alive. If you want to get yourself a chance, though, of being one of those 64 players, Chunks, and you're watching at home, you can do so. !register in chat. That'll take you to the Wasdify website, where you can sign you and your team up to take part in the next set of scrims to qualify for the next PUBG Player Cup, which of course has prize money on the line. So !register in chat, and you'll get all the information you need right there.
Free to enter as well. All you need to spend is a bit of time. If you can take part in those players' scrims, consistently perform well, you make it through to those Players Cup, and ultimately you can make it to the next Super Cup or the next Masters. There is a lot to play for throughout the year, a huge prize pool going forward. It's an awesome opportunity to get involved in PUBG Esports, especially if you're one of those players that's always been a TPP guy. You've never had the opportunity to get involved because you weren't comfortable with FPP, maybe you prefer TPP. This is the opportunity to get involved. Now, I would point out, by the way, Team Casito, we hopped on board with them a minute ago. Toyo sent a player really close, so he's been able to move away. He's got a vehicle, and the circle has centered up pretty much on LG, so they're going to have free reign of how they want to approach this zone.
Yeah, and another chance for maybe early gunfire as Team Corito, bottom of the leaderboard, are going to drive past Njeke team and panic show. Oh, this isn't looking good. He's going to push into the market building. Andrew's going to hear those footsteps, and Njeke team should be able to pick up the first kill of the day. M16 in the hands of Andrew, most likely in burst fire, which is not bad at all. He'll step out into the open. Andrew will see him. He's going to pre-fire over and a couple of quick taps of that burst fire, and he will get the first knock of the day. So we gave him his flowers before the show, and he responds in kind with opening up the show with the first kill of the night.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the approach there was from Panic Show. Maybe they didn't scout out the fact that Njeke would land in that position. Obviously, they did send Selfish all the way up to Tierra Bronca. Maybe they thought the rest of the team were following suit, but that's really not ideal for Team Corito. They're a team that so far, I think, only has 5 points in the grand scheme of things over the course of 8 games. They really want to turn that around, and now losing a player this early on is really going to hamper their ability to do so.
Yeah, and I think it's just a lack of concentration, because it's El Azahar, the flight path. You know that teams like to drop up in this section of the map, and you've just drove on in as a solo. Things like that are going to happen, and things could go from bad to worse for Team Corito, because at the moment they're not too far away from Al Qudsiyah up in that section of the map, but they do have some space to move into towards Cantera. But LG, another one of the teams that are, I'm going to say, in the hunt. You know, they're not done and dusted yet. They're in the top 5, but they need a win, Chunks. Like, these are 4 players who can pop off at any given time. They really need to kick things off with a win, with there only being 4 maps tonight.
They really do, but I mean, look at the teams around them. You got Al Qudsiyah, who they're opening up. It's actually going to be Njeke opening up shots onto them already. Selfish going to hop back into the compound. It looks like Die almost positioned like he wanted to take the fight, not to be just yet. Al Qudsiyah are moving away, but back to LG. It's going to be difficult for them. You look at the teams and the names that are surrounding them. You got 55 Esports, Typhon, Toyo, Liquid, Empire, potentially dangerous. They could be in a very tricky spot if the zone ends up hard shifting away. They're going very split in the early game. They're playing kind of a 4-man split where they have 1 player in each compound. It's going to be difficult to try and assert your dominance of force teams away if they're able to identify a solo. Now, granted, they're not super split apart. They should be able to fill up together, but at the end of the day, if a team crashes onto you, identifies a solo, they are going to push very quickly, and you might not have time to regroup.
100%. I think that one of the things that I feel that happens in TPP a little more is the solo players get away with a bit more in those crashes, because you can, I think it's a lot tougher to crash a compound in TPP than it is in FPP, just because of the defender's advantage, I would say, on those positions. But Rello, he's going to keep an eye on what is going on over by that church compound. It's still outside the zone. They've essentially got 2 checkpoints set up to catch out Njeke team, so D and Roth, they're going to hold the road in the middle. Rello's got an eye on the road to the from the south, and Cowboy will try to choke them off in the north as well. So they've set up 3 checkpoints, all of which are set up in order to pick up individuals from a Njeke team on the way past. So I am very curious to see if it is going to pay off, but we will have to wait a little while, because Balefrost from Empire will get their first kill of the day as he says thank you very much, and that kill on the Slabby. And there we go. That checkpoint, it's successful. Rello kicks things off for Al Qudsiyah with a bang with that knock as well.
It had to be Rello, didn't it? After his performance yesterday, we saw what he was able to do, spraying down a vehicle with 3 players in it, then finishing up the final with his DMR. Definitely a player to watch, but another player to watch for me has to be Die. A real fragger when it comes to performance. Absolutely popping off for the team, but it's Vox, the young gunner, opening up onto Chiquito right now. Richie eliminated by Snaker's nade comes out from Vox, but it's not needed because Poonage is there with the bolt from long range, cleans up Team Corito out in 16th position, unable to grab a point this game.
Big, bolty banger from far away, and that's Poonage picking up that kill for them. So that's 2 for Empire now. LG only getting the 3 off of that one, but it will not matter too much for them as they'll be able to get that res off. But Chunks, Luminosity, we said they needed points. They've done it. While all this is going on and you're wondering, well, what have Liquid been doing? Well, not too much, really. They're inside a lot, they're just north of Los Leones. They don't have to do very much. And right on cue, we jump over to Sparking's POV, but they don't need to do very much for a while. A circle like this, they're just going to wait and see what happens, and then they'll make their move.
They don't need to, but I think they want to. Liquid getting a bit proactive with the split here, sending Alo and Luke outside of the city, realizing that Penella Good are around, so Sparking is going to be keeping an eye out down to the south, making sure that they're not going to be able to push with any ease. It looks like, I think Penella Good are going to be heading towards Sparking, so we will open up a couple of shots in their direction. Liquid may be thinking about moving back to Los Leonas, or maybe even pulling Sparking out of this. The downside is, when you look at Luke and Alo's position, it is very open from the city, so they don't really want to allow Penella Good to get control of this building that Sparking currently holds.
Yeah, a name for that building, though, that is used a lot is Camper Stack. It's a 5-stack building, and people call it Camper Stack because of all of those incredible views that you have over towards the west. It's so hard to push that building. It's so hard to push those buildings in general. I think that Liquid are happy to leave Sparking there. And, you know, he'll be able to hold the fort. If he comes under any real pressure from Penella Good, he has Alo not too far away. So it's a tough push for Penella Good to do that. And I think when you realize that it's Sparking as well that's holding that position, it's another reason why I wouldn't want to be drinking from that chalice.
No, but Liquid, they're coming under pressure from the east as well. 4 Adoras are going to be making a rotate in towards Luke 12. I'm sure he's probably heard that vehicle. They're always kind of waiting for the zone to pop now to figure out how they approach this. They have a really good entry anywhere up to the north. They've got good opening, good spread, but they're just going to get the zone straight towards them. So I want to see whether Kurt is going to move back with the rest of the team, or whether they're just going to continue trying to hold the positions that they currently have.
Yeah, and looking at those positions now with that circle shift, Los Leones taking up about just under 25% of the whole circle. So you'll see some teams gamble on it. But Chunks, I always like to say that teams don't want to send it into Los Leones too early, because if it shifts away, it is so much harder to get out of the city than it is to get into it. Think rush hour traffic. Think all the people firing your way. So don't gamble too soon. Capitan, Emmy, has just taken a little bit of damage. His tire's been popped, and Capitan's going to have to go and be his Uber. Other ride-sharing apps are available, and bring his teammate out of there.
Ooh, Bizzler getting lit up by Capitan right there after he was a little bit ego-peaky, trying to spray through with that Mark 12, doing what he could to pop out the tires, but just not enough in the end. Toyo, they've succeeded in their rescue mission, got the players into the Bronco, and they continue to move away. Benya coming under a little bit of pressure, but at this kind of range, it's not too much that you need to worry about. You mentioned about Los Leones being a hard city to get out of, and I think that's something Liquid are well aware of when you look at their current positions. They've got Sparking in the city, but when you've only got that solo, it's a lot easier to get that player out, but equally to get the rest of your squad entry into the compounds if needed. Psycho, he needs to make an exit with 55 Esports closing in.
Yeah, I remember casting a women's PUBG event a few times in Europe, and one of the team's names was Lost in Leones, and it was such a good name for what it's like being in that city sometimes when you're trying to get out. Some incredible women, by the way, were playing in that tournament. I'd love to see some of them try to register and take part in some of these player cups, because they could give a lot of these players a run for their money. But Kerak from Typhon peeking over. What about Typhon? They are 100% Chunks a feast or famine team over the course of this weekend. It's been wins or bust for them.
I mean, that tends to be how it's worked for them in the past. They have huge games in the shorter format events. It works out really well. But now that we're going into a best of 12, you need to work on that consistency a little bit more. It's something a lot of these teams, they have to try and adapt to, especially if you're a team that's come through the player scrims, through to won the player cups, and now you're here in the Super Cup in a longer format. It's difficult to chain those strong performances together. Whereas in the player cups, we always talk about 1 or 2 big games, and you've made your way to the top 8. Now it becomes a whole lot more difficult.
Yeah, difficult for a lot of these teams trying to close that gap towards Liquid and Al-Qudsi. Sam Crow, he's got the difficult task of trying to land these shots onto OMG as they move into the position, as everybody's now making their send. Los Leones still with only 3 teams inside, and when you consider we've got 15 teams up and it's 25% of the circle, it tells you why nobody wants to be in there this soon. One thing I do want to say, if you have the map stream open, !map, if you want to keep an eye on it, if you've got a spare screen on the side. Chunks, look at how greedy LG are currently being. A 1-2-1 split that has just been kicked out, and now the rush hour traffic into Los Leones can begin. This is the point, Chunks, where I think I'm perfectly fine with teams making that send in.
Yeah, and you can see Liquid are already doing exactly that. They need to be careful because Sonics is already playing point to try and get aggressive. Takes down Purdy Curdy. The trade attempt coming in from long range, but he just can't find the angle. Penella Good, they kept control of Los Leones. They slowly closed in, but now it's going to be Empire that close in themselves. Gringo being careful not to peek aware that Liquid are nearby, but Senior Lutinho, he's watching. He just needs to find one. That's exactly what he does. The position's given away, and Shinboy immediately trades it out.
That's awesome team play from Shinboy. Michael is down, but he is not out, and he got the knock and instant flush. 2 kills for Empire now. Michael will be back on his feet, but keep an eye on Warlock. A nade prime prepped and ready, thrown this way, but nothing to be found. That nade's a hell of a lot better as Shinboy is forced to sprint out of there. But Warlock, he had 2 nades, he used them both. He got 0 ROI for his investment, so he will fall back. But Shinboy was what? A second and a half away from being knocked if that nade had been cooked a little longer.
Really impressive to see him spot that and move away. Empire, they are surrounded by Penella Good, but at the moment they do have a player advantage. Warlock going to move a little bit round to the west, try and maybe group up with his team. Alcudzi are doing the same. It's Die in the same compound as 55 Esports. Roth doing his best to scout out, but without these players exposing themselves, he's not going to be able to grab all too much info. He spotted out Baki at the final second, but nothing coming of it, and typical PUBG timing. As soon as you go to throw a smoke, a player exposes themselves, and T-Plent's in the end able to return the fire.
Yeah, Roth takes 33 damage, but he has D as cover, but D is also fleeing back from the scene of the crime here as he took a little bit of damage off of that one, and with this happening, Relo now will reposition. Beck, here's the first cargo away, but spots Roth once more inside the shack. 2 nades, 2 blue zones. Roth could be a lamb to slaughter here if things are thrown at the right time. Sprinting towards the Bronco as Fake will close the gap. Another nade at the ready, but D spots him out. Relo on the other side. Alcudsia lulled him into the trap. They pick up the kill, and now they've got an advantage, but the nade from Baki is perfect. Chunks, down goes Roth.
We cannot see Roth goes down. If we get a Los Leones circle, there is only one man I want to see in it, and it is Roth, as he has a history of clutching up in these circles. But Alcudsia, they are just facing so much trouble right now. T-Plent's find an off angle. It's almost a question of outflanking each other for these two teams. They're both trying these huge wraps around each other, catching them from off angles, and it seems like so far Alcudsia are the ones that have come out on top. It's only going to be H11 left up, and look at this, Liquid, the team that we looked at earlier on, in terms of these Los Leones circles, losing another player, but it's all eyes on Penella Good right now, as Warlock, he is split up from the rest of his team. Pure RNG are close by. The rest of Penella Good a little bit further into the circle. He could potentially be in a spot where he has to gatekeep Pure RNG solo with Empire directly behind him.
I think that as things stand, the best positions in the circle are the positions held by 4 Adoras and potentially dangerous and Team Liquid. They're outside of Los Leones. If anything shifts north, they are going to farm points from this position, but don't be surprised to see teams crash for Adoras. Warlock here used all his utility a little earlier as the MG. Do you hear the crack of that weapon off in the distance as Emmy got the knock onto Vox? That gun has got such good acoustics. It's so scary from afar.
It certainly is, as the E pickup now being used. Not sure who it was that called that in. Vinny, though, able to take down Luke 12 as the rest of Liquid are going to need to try and salvage something out of this. Halo peeks out of the door. Vinny already watching it. The smoke will go down to try and get that player back up. Liquid already weakened with a player down. A second one knocked could spell the end for them if they are not careful. It is a high-risk rescue mission now, as Halo is going to hop in the vehicle and try and move over. But if he gets taken out, then Liquid are down to a solo.
Yeah, Halo, he is down and he's going to get flushed out. So for as all intents and purposes, that is exactly what has happened. Liquid, they gave up the compound on that side. They made a play for a little bit closer to center circle, and it is not paid off. 2 Sparking might be tempted to go for the res, but it's a long way to go out in the open. PD, though, Glock spots out LG on the move. Can't do any real damage of note, but Sparking is going to be under a bit of pressure. But look at the angle from Andrew. He gets the knock. RNZ flushes it out, but Andrew is having himself a great start to the night.
These crates, I feel like, are such a deceptive position. You feel like you have all the cover, but then you look around them and all the high angles teams are able to spot you from. And LG learning that the hard way right now. Alcudia also losing one up on the north as they take a bit of a long-range battle. They are inside of the circle, but it's in Czech that have control of the hard cover. Plenty of teams surrounding them. It's almost destined now that we will get some form of Los Leones circle, but it could still shift up to the north, and if that's the case, teams like OMG, like Foradoras are going to be very happy about it. H11, he's not happy with his current position, though.
Yeah, he's inside the blue. It's phase 4. You can see it. He's taking quite a bit of damage every second he is there. That means he's never going to get back up to full HP. He's got 5 meds, 5 bandages. He might be able to sit in here a little bit longer and maybe scavenge a point away from himself, but it's worth keeping an eye on his move because he's trending towards 2 other teams and the circle shifts exactly. Now, Chunks, look how strong that Foradores position is up on top of that ridgeline. It might not be a map-winning position, but it is a position where they should be able to get a lot of kills.
Should be able to, but it's going to be difficult when you've got 3 teams approaching you all from different angles. In terms of hard cover, there isn't all too much of it up there. Sure, you've got the high ground, you can drop down, but if multiple teams swarm you at once, you're in trouble, just like H11. He goes down in 15th position. LFP spotted out of the tree, but Fana able to take down Robert first. Varus throws out the Molotov. It's just a little too late, but it doesn't matter when you hit a spray like that. Fakes in, trades it out with a nade. Kawazine getting third party now by Valiate. Pentalol takes down Poonage. Empire also being drawn into this fight. Mirror now with 2 players left up, using the building for everything it's worth, but they've got just under 2 minutes to make it into the zone, and it is already moving. They have to get across this road, which is no easy feat.
Team KZito, aka Team Game of Thrones, they've lost a couple of players as Alir will step out into the open, drops down to about 3 or 4 HP, but stays on his feet. They're going to go for the res onto LFP, but we turn our attention to pure RNG, sharing this building with Empire. Poonage is getting res, but shotguns in the hands of those Empire players. And pure RNG, they're smoking their way across the road. They're hoping that maybe the early chicken gets the worm, and if they can hold out Empire by getting a little further inside the circle.
Poonage pre-nading through the smoke, has an idea that players are going to cross sooner or later, but pure RNG, they're leaving it a little bit later. Michael Poonage playing the lead now, crossing over the road, using the smokes for cover, and they will now get the jump on pure RNG. More smokes to follow as RNG need to start thinking about their moves sooner or later. They can stay in this compound, but as Penta runs out, Shimboy's able to spot it. Valiate doing his best to try and find a trade, but the angle just isn't there. Shimboy, however, third-partied by in Czech, flushed out as well. Pure RNG jam, he's just going to lay down prone, try to make a move, but Valiate, he takes down Poonage. This could be very tricky for Empire, just as Foradoras, they are getting surrounded by Typhon and OMG now.
Yeah, Typhon, though, directly below them against the rock, so it should be a difficult one. They need to worry about what happens after this fight. D moves on up. Alcudia closing the gap to Liquid, but Pain, the shrapnel explosion is perfect. Rello will fall back, and OMG are wiped out. This is where Foradoras should be pushing. This is where they should up the aggression onto a wounded animal that is Alcudia, but instead, they're focused on Typhon. They now need to move deeper inside of Los Leones. This angle is so difficult to fight, Chunks, for both of these teams just because of how the POV works and the terrain. I'm a little disappointed Foradoras didn't make a move onto Alcudia while they were weak.
You gotta wish they had a nade right now. Typhon throwing up everything they can, and for Adoras, they have to make a move soon because that circle is shifted down to the south. Alcuds are going to be the first team in this kind of area that are going to be able to make it down. They should be able to play a couple of cliff sides for the time being, as Typhon just throwing up every nade they can. They just seem to be falling short right now. There is so little util on the front of for Adoras. When you're this exposed on the high ground, you've got nothing to loot up. They burnt through so much ammo. No helmet, no vest for Aurelio now. It's going to be difficult as No Cap tries his best to cover. He will spot out the vehicle, but look at that from Samcro. Pre-firing the angle, a little bit of damage is found. It's not enough to get a knock. He's certainly going to try, but it's not to be, and now they're heading straight in towards potentially dangerous.
And Foradores now may have just crossed. Oh my god, look what's just happened. Multiple members of Typhon wiped in a second as LG and PD tag team in. A alliance was formed for a few seconds time and a team fell. But now Foradores need to descend the hill from on high. Murillo will fall as the first vehicle drops down the hill. Gats picking up that kill. But Foradores have left things way too late. And now they've got a mountain, I would say, to climb, but more so chunks to descend to get into the circle.
The same being true for Alcudzia as they're a little bit further over to the east. A little less pressure. Roth is doing what he can to scout out, and it's given them an entry into the zone, but they are heading straight towards Team Casito just as Toyo start to surround. Potentially dangerous. The Molotov comes out from Gabriel. The third party from Sonics will provide them a little bit of rest. Out comes the frag grenade over the top. Could that find something? Yes, it does, but it's not a knock. Benya taken down with a little bit of damage as Gabriel flushes out Emmy. He's holding on his own right now. Only Nightavon is left up, and he is not exactly in a great position to support as he gets taken down low. He throws out the smokes. They are just trying to defend, and it is a bit of a red zone right here. Throwing nades over the wall, hoping that something lands. That one seemed close, but it only damages Glock in the end.
Yeah, and the longer this goes on, the more you invite LG to take part. Sekiro looking over towards Benya. Toyo have got deployable shields for days as the mist will descend indoors. The fog machine has been deployed. Benya just keeping an eye on what's going on behind. He got the level 3 gear off of Emmy, who crawled this way. But the onus is really on PD to make this push. They're the team that are the weakest. The back and the zone shifts dramatically over towards Mira now as this gets very spicy inside of Los Leones. Empire and Mira in fantastic positions, but the smorgasbord of color over towards the west. Chunks, LG, PD, Toyo, Injected Team, Panella Good, and Pure RNG all now need to migrate into the circle.
Empire now going to be looking to try and hold out pure RNG. I think Lobes is probably going to try and play some high ground in his current position, let his teammates be the ones to make the push. A perfectly placed underhand nade from Nightavon to take down Sukiro as Nightavon just waiting before making the push, maybe trying to bait some shots out as finally Gabriel pushes in. Benya's there watching the angle. Glock takes down Benya in return as Capitan using that deployable shield for everything it's worth. It's a 1 versus 1. Whoever wins survives for their team, potentially brings the rest of the squad into it. Nightavon pops the med and it works out in the end. Toyo down in 11th position, potentially dangerous on 9 kills, trying to get the rest of the team back up, but that zone is closing in, and so are LG up to the north.
Situational awareness there. Gats will get that kill. Steps out into the open once more, but this could be curtains. Nightavon back to 3 or 4 HP, as is Gats, but the blue zone is closing its grip on both of these players. Gats, you can see the damage that he's taken, and because of it, Nightavon will be gifted another kill. It's 4 for him now, as Snakers is way too far away to get up the point. RNZ, though, from Injected Team, he'll be the one to find it as they hit kill number 7 of this matchup, and they're looking to add more as Panella Good move towards the circle, and maybe Andrew, who has been so good over the course of this weekend, could be the one to pick it up. Spots out Nightavon. Oh no, Nightavon, this is not where you want to be.
No, you can see the nade coming through for RNZ. It does a lot of damage, but it's not going to be enough to finish the job. Nightavon now just going to deny to the zone. Panella Good down in 9th position. We make it into the placement points, and actually Nightavon just about making it in there for potentially dangerous. Look at this, though, Sparking. He's been as a solo for the longest time in the game. He's got the shotgun in hand, ready for that close range engagement when it almost inevitably comes. It's a 1 versus 1.
Well, that 1v1's going to be a fun one because it's a shotgun against an M249. Mira and Al-Qudsiya get the circle. Remember, Al-Qudsiya were just 11 points off of Liquid, and as it stands, they've been picking up lots of kills. Now, Sparking, just by being alive, is picking up extra points for the horses as they try to get a couple more points on the board to retain hold of top spot. But Sparking might be about to pull off a bit of a sneaky move and backstab and Jekka team, who seem to have no clue that he's here.
Sparkian lands the spray, takes down Andrew, nicely done, but now that position is given away. Nade comes out over the top, trying to flush out the kill. I don't think InCheck are really in a position to try and close up this distance, but I'll tell you what, Al-Qudsiya certainly are. 8 kills on the board, looking to make it 9. That's exactly what they do. Liquid down in 6th position. There's Poonage opening up now for Empire onto InCheck. It's only going to be RNZ left up. He's using the high ground as best he can, and in this kind of circle, it's going to be powerful.
Yeah, this is it now. Al-Qudsiya with a huge chance to take the lead inside of the Super Cup with just 3 games to go. And Jekka team with a great performance so far. 9 kills for them, so they've got double-digit points. Will they be able to find some more? You never know, but they've only got 1 player standing, but that 1 player has got the eagle eye over the rest of the lobby. Al-Qudsiya Chunks, they've got hard cover too. Let's not rule out a top 3, top 4 finish for them inside of this matchup as well, because realistically, nobody is going to push this way.
It doesn't seem that way. But Al-Qudsiya, they've got a bit of distance that they need to try and close up when we get down to that final circle. It is just going to be the dot in the center. It's going to come down to how many smokes they have left to work with. Cowboy throws out the flashbang, just doing his best to clear it out as the smoke will pop. LFP will fall to Penta. As Mira, they're trying to defend from Al-Qudsiya, but it's actually pure RNG that are causing them more of a concern right now. The BZ nade lands perfectly over onto Jam. He manages to dodge it just in time, making the cross over the road. Flashbangs, nades all coming out for Penta. Flushes out LFP, and Balefrost is there to trade.
Yeah, Balefrost holding the angle now, knowing that Jam's going to have to come, but the blue zone will force him to reposition. 5 kills for Empires. They're in the placement points pretty strongly once more, but Mira will manage to wipe out a couple of members of Pure RNG as Al-Qudsiya will take down RNZ. It's a 4v3v2 as that'll be the end of Pure RNG as well. Al-Qudsiya, they are making moves here, Chunks. They have the 10 kills. They've got top spot. The real question now is how many more can they find?
Empire, they're looking to find more, but as Michael falls, it's going to be difficult. Fanna ends up nading himself, taking himself out of the fight. Fakes in, and Kawazine, the final 2 players left up for Mira. Kawazine playing point, trying to defend from Al-Qudsiya. Right now, they have grabbed the entirety of the zone in terms of the centering. Molotovs coming in, setting fire to the garage. Kawazine just about able to make it out of here. It is a slow burn as Empire now going to be forced to get around this wall. They may just choose to deny to zone, but as the flashbang comes out from Balefrost, the position is given away to die. He's getting ready to go for the peak, but wants to make sure no flashes will connect. It's only shots, though, as Balefrost gets taken down. Still Michael left up. He could go for the revive, but he could decide to just push in and take down 2 from Mira. Only Kawazine left up, and he manages to trade it.
Yeah, and it's a 4v1. He sprints into the blue. He's given up the ghost. It's winner, winner, chicken dinner, but the kill was found. Roth steps aside. He saw his wife in chat, and he said, I gotta do something to win this game for my team. And just like that, 24 points. They were 11 behind. Now they will be quite a few ahead. Big game for Al-Qudsiya Chunks as they are able to take the lead.
Really impressive performance from them. From that position up in the northeast where you almost thought that Foradoras would have been able to hold them out. And ultimately, if Foradoras had pushed onto Al-Qudsiya, when they were weakened, we would have seen a completely different game to that. But they sent Roth down to the east of Los Leones. He was playing that scout position. He was calling out to his team. He spotted out a free path into zone, and they made the most out of it. From there, it was all Alcudia. Amazing game all around. It's rare we see those Los Leones circles, and the fact that it ended up shifting away towards the end just made it even more difficult for those teams that committed.
And I'm going to call it the decision. So when all the fighting was happening between Foradores and Typhon over by the mountain, they had the opportunity to push Foradores. They had them on top of the hill. They could have gotten that fight, but they said to themselves, hold on. Them two teams are more interested in each other. We can take the space right now that can enable us to win the game and not take any losses up on the hill. And just that decision to rotate into the east side of Los Leones won them that game. That and quite a lot of mechanical skill as well, Chunks.
Absolutely. You saw how powerful that high ground ended up being in terms of defending Los Leones, but ultimately, once you commit up onto the high ground, it's a very difficult push to make out of here. And I said, look, when I think of Los Leones, I think of players like Roth, and I think of a team like Alcudia. It is fitting that they were the ones to win this with 14 kills, an absolutely huge win. And let's not forget, Liquid, they only got 3 points in that game. That should be enough for Alcudia to close that gap, and they may just have taken first overall.
Yeah, they have. It was 11 points going into that game. They've got 24, so they should be around 10 points clear now. There's still 3 maps to go, and things change very quickly inside of PUBG from game to game. But they did what was asked. They got the win in the first game of the day. They put the pressure on. Shout out to a couple of other teams picking up double digits. Empire with a nice 5-5 split as they took 10 points in that one. But here is your leaderboard, a 10-point lead for Alcudia now, and that gap to third. Mira picked up a nice bunch of points there, but I think with 3 maps left to go, I think that it is 100% just a 2-horse race now.
I would not rule Mira out. We've seen what they're able to do when Alcudia or Liquid go down. They are more than happy to sponge up the excess points. There is still plenty to play for. 3 games remaining this evening. They still have a chance. It's going to be difficult, and it ultimately might come down to them having to focus a team like Liquid or like Alcudia to deny the points and be able to sponge and close the difference.
Yeah, well, there's still a lot of games left for things to move and change. 3 to be precise. We got Tego, Rondo, and Erangel still to go. So with that, we're going to jump into a quick break to allow the viewers at home to let the pulse settle a bit after that crazy game. Get some liquids in, get a bathroom break. When you come back, we'll be back with Tego. We'll see you guys in 3 minutes. big game to kick off the night from Al Qudsiya, but there's still 3 games to go to find out who will be our first ever Super Cup champions. Chunk, it's very unlikely that anybody outside of Liquid or Al Qudsiya could do it, but will we see a miraculous performance from our third place team to close that gap?
Every night you come out with a new pun. I always find it impressive. But yeah, there is the possibility. Look, we need to go back to the Players Cups and just how strong they were able to perform. We keep harping on about it. They've shown signs of it. They've had 1 or 2 really strong games, but they need a couple of those to be able to close this distance, because it's all well and good having your own good games, but if Liquid and Al Qudsiya have relatively alright matches, if one of them's able to pick up a win, it maybe gets to a point where it's not going to be possible for them, considering we've only got 3 games left. Not only tonight, but in the entire series.
And when you consider the average survival time for, I think, Al Qudsiya is inside the 26-27 minute mark, it means that they're getting placement points for fun. They know how to do it. So it's a tough ask. Do I expect hot drops onto Liquid or Al Qudsiya and Tago? No, I don't. It's way too soon to do it. But do I expect to see the Fishing Camp Crossroads hot drop again between Typhon and PD? Why, yes. Yes, I do, especially with this flight path.
Yeah, a lot of the map being cut out now, going down to the southwest. It makes me think maybe one of those Songam circles that we've seen a couple of that have always been exciting to try and cast. It's been a really fun set of matches here on Tago. We've seen so many hot drops, specifically looking back at last night, what happened with PD and Typhon dropping over at Fishing Camp. But it looks like Typhon, they've dropped all the way down to the southeast instead, so potentially not going to happen. We might actually see Foradora's taking a hot drop onto Al Qudsiya, and I don't think Al Qudsiya have been hot dropped yet in the series.
Nah, I don't think Foradoras will go for it. There might be a bit of contention for the vehicle that Roth is going for, but otherwise, I don't see it happening. If you do want a hot drop, though, there is one going on right now, as we have Team KZito taking on, I believe that's Njeke team. Penella Good. It's Penella Good. I went by what little slither of the logo I could see, and I saw grey, and I went, Njeke team. Nah, I was wrong.
You've got those old man eyes. You need a young gunner like me to come in and call it out for you. But yeah, it looks like it is going to be Penella Good that are taking the hot drop. It's going to be a difficult one here when you see just how split up Penella Good are inside of this compound. Team Casito seem to be a little bit more consolidated. Sure, they've still got Robert off to the side. And what's going on with H11? He just got pistol killed by Furhopper.
He just got good nighted. OMG, picking up that kill. But on the other side, then, Snakers with no helmet, no vest, and an SKS has got Carito not too far away. Now, Chiquito, he's a little further away from Richie than maybe Richie would like, but Richie can wrap all the way north. Then when you get far enough north, you use the terrain to wrap over towards the rest of your team. But I feel like LG, they're hunting him. You've got Vox holding the angle. You've got Bizzler wrapping around. They are hunting Richie, and they're doing it in a pack.
They certainly are. They are being very focused. Forgot the word I was going to go with there. In terms of how they approached this onto Richie. So did I. So I thought I lost myself for a minute. But Richie, he is going to be moving away from this. Varas, though, he opens up onto Senior Lutinho. Sonic's quickly there to trade it out. Flushes out a live. And now Team Casito, they are down a player, but it is a bit of a rescue mission for Penella Good if they want to get this player back up.
Yes, Sonic's managing to get that kill with the UMP. Will hit the deck to have a little peek through the windows on the other side, but that's not the start that either of these teams would really want. Now, see, there is one player still down on the side of Penella Good. Sonics is holding the cross, but the smoke's going to go out. Sprints across. Varus now should be able to get that one off, and Sonics is not able to do his job. But look at the Skang sprinting over. Warlock is moving. They're going to go for the res now. Warlock can hold the angle while they go for the res. So Penella Good managing to get that one off. Steps out in the open. Sonics gets the knock onto Varus, and now Bran will be the next player to push this way with the Panzer at the ready. But this is awesome from Penella Good. Sonics has been a menace up on these windows.
Bran, though, it might have been Robert got the read on exactly where those Penella Good players are, and you can see Bran moving back based off of that info. They're going to try and group up to take this fight as Penella Good just slowing it down a bit. They've got the 2 kills, but now they're lacking a lot of info. Robert takes the spray over towards Sonics with the 4x, but he can't make anything happen. Now deciding to move his position. He knows that he's been given away. Team Casito, it looks like they're trying to exit from this, and if Penella Good continue to play this slowly and methodically, they might just be able to escape. Really good play from both teams. Penella Good, they're playing with the info that they have, which at this point isn't much.
Do they want to escape, though, or do they want to go for the jugular? It looks like they're going for the jugular. Robert will hop inside of the US. Bran with a 4x spray, though, with the AK's asking for a lot, but there's Sonics again, picking up another one. What is it about just that name of Sonics and doing things inside of America's lobbies? The org might be gone, but Sonics is still here, and Penella Good will close up. Bran is the last player standing. Will we see Sonics pick up the 4 kills onto them, or is Bran going to take himself and everybody with him with a Panzerfaust?
I don't care, because we've got a Panzer on both sides right now, so surely one of them has to be used. Bran not making a sound until the last second. Takes out Senior Latinio, but takes himself out on the way. 16th place for Team Casito, as it looks like that point is also going to be denied. Alcudia, they're taking an early game battle, and it's Empire, which have 2 players already inside of this building. Roth left as the solo, so the rest of Alcudia need to close up if they want to try and defend this. They're doing what they can from long range as Rello using that mini effectively, but they need to take this, use the player advantage, because now the rest of Empire have been able to close in, and they're going to have that advantage.
Yeah, and remember, this is a big fight for Alcudia. Your current lobby leaders, and Empire are no easy team to contend with. Roth will jump outside, but there is a silhouette just above him, and I think that is Bale Frost, so Roth's got to be very careful about he traverses this section of the map. He hops inside the UAZ. Bale Frost can't get the angle over the roof, and Roth will fall back, but it doesn't matter because Punage is there to find that knock and the flush, and Alcudia will be limping with a 3 for a little while, but here comes Toyo and Capitan as well. It is really heating up here by the school.
Cowboy will be able to escape by the looks of things. Alcudia now going to be playing as a 3-man, but look at this. Capitan knows there's players around here, and he wants to start getting involved. I don't think Alcudia have any idea about what is going on. He's got the org in hand, using that third person, trying to get a read. It looks like Alcudia, for a second, it looked like they were going to try and make a rotation out of here. Instead, they are just repositioning the vehicles. Capitan keeping his head down, not wanting to expose himself. The rest of Toyo is such a long way away. I'm not sure whether he realizes he's potentially about to take a 1 versus 3 fight, but he's gathering a lot of info, and ultimately the only team that are going to be able to spot him out are OMG, and they're a long ways away.
Yeah, OMG are not going to be focusing on this at all. They don't have the line of sight, they don't have the angle, so Capitan is free to scout this position. Alcudia need to be careful about how they move, because this is Empire. If Capitan fires onto Alcudia, don't be surprised to see them move this way. Capitan steps up, and he's going to decapitate Cowboy. He will fall, and nade is thrown as he looks for a quick flush, but no damage is dealt. But Rello, he peeks on the side, does a ton of damage, and he's going to go for the smoke now. Spots out Emmy way off in the distance, but here come the Toyo crash. Benya pushing in, but Punage steals that kill away for Empire. They're going to move out, but he clicks on empty, does Capitan, and that will allow Alcudia to at least attempt the great escape. And Chunks, I think they've done it, but they're driving directly towards Liquid.
This is such a rough fight here for Alcudia. They took the aggression over on towards Empire, and it did not work out. Empire, by the way, on 3 kills, looking to make it more as Senior Lutinio gets caught out. Sorry, it's Punage who takes down Sukehiro in the end from Toyo. They are closing in. They are wrapping around. He's playing slow. Knows that Capitan could be close, but look at this from Emmy catching the off angle, taking a little bit of damage onto Punage, as Emmy now needs to close up, needs to support, because it's all well and good having a player holding back with the DMR, but when you don't have the sight lines on the fight that's inevitably coming, you need to try and reposition. Toyo, they hop in the vehicle. They're going to move away. They're happy with the points they've gotten out of this.
Yeah, 55 third partying from afar, but Empire going back into school because they've not really had the opportunity. They've Toyo fall back. Empire don't want to lose school because it's one of the big focal points inside of a circle like this. And Toyo now, as you can see, are just regrouping as well. Al-Qudsiya, they're going to split up, play as 2 solos. This tells me right now they're playing for placement points at this point on, Chunks. This is a game about scavenging as much points as you can out of a game that is essentially not gone the way you would have wanted it to be. So they've separated 2 solos. It's all about picking up these points.
Empire just boosting up, getting ready for a move. Right now, they don't really need to make one. They're in a good position, but we'll have to see how this zone ends up shifting. 4 Adoras are really hoping for a hard northern shift right now, but, I mean, if the Players Tour has given us anything, we know we're going down to the south, and that's exactly the case. Most teams have got the read on this. Team Liquid currently playing a pretty wide 2-2 split with Mirror and soon enough LG in between them, so they're going to try and close up, and it could be Al-Qudsiya heading straight in their direction. This would be huge if Liquid can clean up the rest of the squad.
Yeah, and these kills onto Al-Qudsiya, if Liquid are the team that find it, what that basically is double point kills, because not only are you picking up the point, you're stopping Al-Qudsiya's ability to pick up those extra points as well. Al-Qudsiya, they're sending a little bit of damage dealt on the Rello and D, but they've found a shack, they've found a spot. This is now home for them, and Rello, is he just going to go prone? As do I hear Bizzler? Yes, of course it's Bizzler that is in the glider, just getting as much information as he can.
Yep, just gathering that intel, playing point for the team, almost baiting out shots for his squad, but this could be a risky one if he gets too close here to Typhon. He jumps out in mid-air. Psycho spots him, but it's Tony in the end who gets the knock. He tries to follow it up with the second, but Snakers is going to be there to trade Psycho with a big pre-nade. This could be huge, but it doesn't seem to connect. Yes, it does. Gats goes down as Snakers flushes out Tony. He should be a safe res for now. Typhon, they need to try and group up on this position, but it's only these players in the compound. It's Sam Crow right now doing what he can to try and make something happen. The BZ nade starts to tick as Psycho follows up with another frag. I'd be surprised if this connects, but never say never.
Yeah, it needed the bounce high enough to go in through those single little letterbox windows. Actually, there isn't even letterbox. Well, yeah, there's one, but it's not going to do the job. Kerak will confirm out Bizzler, so his crash landing didn't quite go to plan, as we see Liquid confirming a compound for themselves, which, you know, in the benefit of hindsight, would have been perfectly clear. Gats is going to get cleaned up for Kerak here, but let's see what LG can do. 2 players up. Psycho on this side of the road. He's going to peek out from the off angle. A little bit of friendly fire there dealt on the Snakers, but Psycho goes down to 12. Peek out from Kerak, though, and he says, good night, sweet prince, to Snakers and Vox. Typhon pick up the kills, and LG will do no more damage inside of Tego.
Huge play from Typhon there to be able to regroup and ultimately win the fight. Unfortunate for LG. I think they sent Bizzler out in that glider in the hopes he could gather the info, and it seems like he just didn't hang around there long enough to realise that there were in fact players inside the compound. Penelagood, they're gathering a lot of info. They know that Team Mirror are going to be down here. They've still got 2 players from Penelagood a little bit further to the south, so they're going to hop in the vehicles, regroup with the rest of the team. OMG, they are far out on the west, and they are taking a long-range fight up against 4 Adoras, the team that could potentially gatekeep them from getting up this hill.
Yeah, and I'm looking at OMG's position, and I think they're fine. They've got a compound. They know that there's likely 4 Adoras not too far away. I think their best bet is to play the south. All the way through to the rest of Pure RNG is completely vacant, and they're playing a 2-2 split right now. With this next shift, though, you will likely see a full consolidation on that position, and that should now happen as Penta and Lobes should move. I want to give a shout out to 55. They had a compound in the north zone. They called in the E-pickup just in case something went towards Songam, and then they could go and move to that position, but they don't have to go now. They can stay, but it was really good foresight to give themselves that option if the zone did go against them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. When you're in phase 3, that's probably the last time it's really viable to use one of those E-pickups. So really good timing on it. Get it coming in early. So if you need to make a move, you can do it proactively. If you don't, then you can just leave it and it stops dragging down that inventory weight. Team Liquid, they've not got any kills on the board right now, but they are in a position where they could definitely try and defend from pure RNG if they continue to hold a 2-2 split. They've currently got 2 players over in that compound they were holding earlier, but T-Blends, he's trying to hold a compound, ends up blowing himself up. He's down 6 HP, has to hit every shot, but it's Sonics that does it in the end. T-Blends goes down for 55 as Penella Good take control of the north side of this road.
That was unfortunate. He did 96 damage to himself and none to the other team. He essentially cost himself in that fight, and that gives that position away now to Penella Good. Maybe, just maybe, Alcudia might move on in, but remember, they're playing as a 2. Still a long way away from getting inside the placement points that they so desperately need. Slabby seems a long way away from hitting those shots, but no cap will find that knock for Foradores, as the team that you called that could be a problem for them is the one that get that knock from afar.
Foradora's no cap, doing what he can to try and spam through the smoke, hoping to connect, but nothing so far. Potentially dangerous, looking to finish up the job as the frag grenade lands close. Does a lot of splash damage, but it just can't convert. The BZ nade surely going to land over at that rock as Pains is actually deciding to cancel the revive, hops in the vehicle, moves away, as on the other side of things, Alcudia, they've moved on to 55's position, and Relo getting punished with a nade because of it.
Why not put him into the car, though? Why not, like, take him with you and give yourself the chance of a res at another time, as this is going to be a waste of a murder? But Liquid didn't know that Relo had already been dealt with, and Alcudia, well, their race should be run, as D is getting shot at from PD, shot at from Toyo, shot at from 55. He's just struggling to find anywhere to call home for now, but I think for Alcudia, this game has not gone as planned.
Liquid, the team that are currently in second place, are going to be very happy if Die ends up going down, but we can never rule out a solo, especially from Alcudia. We saw what Relo was able to do as a solo the other day, but now with this zone closing up, you can imagine more teams are going to be looking to try and play the same dip that Die is currently holding. It looks like Liquid, yeah, they could stay where they currently are in this compound. I think they've got a bit of a bridge that they can work with just up to the north, but they're probably going to want to try and get aggressive and start making a move sooner rather than later.
Yeah, Typhon rotating in here now as Mira are the ones to take shots at them. This is a map that they dominated yesterday as they got a huge win, and the route they'll have to play from the edge. Sam Crow going down at the hands of LFP as another member of Typhon gets a little closer, and that is Kerak. But I think that Sam Crow has been left to fall in this position. Chunks still 14 players alive, 14 teams alive after 17 and a half minutes. This is, oh, Gabri, stop that.
You say 14 teams alive, but 4 of them at the moment are playing a single compound. Granted, 55 are weakens, they're not a 4-man. As we hop on board with Gabri, he tries to land more shots and in the end isn't able to finish the job. Die goes down, so that's how Alcudia are out in 14th. Any points that Liquid are able to salvage this game bring them closer and closer to that first place position. Payne's trying his best to land the headshots onto Richie from Corito, but he just can't do it. Furhopper will go down. He needs to try and get the revive, otherwise he's going to be stuck playing this as a solo. Smoke grenade thrown to try and provide a little bit of cover, and I don't think it'll provide enough cover from Nitavon's position.
No, the car being in that position is really preventing him from getting any closer. The pony just cuts off that straight line approach. Foradora as well. This is easy for a team like Potentially Dangerous to tip-tap away at them. Will find themselves a couple of knocks, and Foradores are eliminated now as Emmy will get the kill on the Tokyo. This is a nasty little bush camp from Capitan, by the way. 2 deployable shields and a bush, and that's surely against the rules.
I like it. Look, play dirty when you have to. If you can use that bush for a little bit of extra cover, then make the most out of it. He's got 2 deployable shields. I can't imagine anyone spamming that many DMR bullets. They're going to be able to do any significant damage to it, as now the zone will close in further. Liquid still alive down on the southeast. I'm wondering what their next move is going to be. It seems like it's to flush out the kill onto Penta, get themselves an extra point on the board, and stealing one away from Empire in check. They have to try and navigate Empire soon enough, as they're going to have to try and push through at some point as that zone closes in. It's going to be interesting to see where it shifts. Pure RNG right now have to be the favorites in terms of whatever circle pops.
And it's a donut circle, so Pure RNG are in the center of that circle. But with School now just about being inside the circle, Empire still have something to play. Toyo are the exact same. But I'm looking at that compound to the north, and now all of a sudden, Corrido, OMG, and to a lesser extent, Penella Good, all want to close in on the side of the road being held by 55 Esports. But I'm looking at this fight, right? Senior Latino has a bolty. This is not bolty range. This is an area where you'd like to have the AR at the ready. But Senior Latino is showing a prevalence to using that bolty. Let's see if he's able to use it to find a knock to stop a push.
Look, it's all well and good saying it's not bolty range, but it makes it easier to hit those headshots, and if you've got that bolt, that is a game changer. Corrito looks like they're going to hop into a vehicle, try and go for some sort of rotate. I'd imagine they try and wrap up to the north somehow, but wherever they look, there's going to be teams around. Mira, they're moving off to the west. You saw them get the knock onto Sparkin, as he will be getting carried away now by his teammate. Fana hops in the car as Mira's starting to get aggressive. It's Typhon that are probably drawing all of their attention going forward. Toyo using this high ground, using those shields as Penella Good. They get crashed by Corrito. Molotov goes down. It will slow things down for the time being. Penella Good, though, 5 kills on the board, looking to try and get more players up, but it's not helped by the fact that Senior Latino gets naded.
And Corrido have just been wiped by Team Mira. They were pushing the Penella Good, and they've just been obliterated. Coazine, with an incredible nade, will wipe out all of Team Corrido, and that gives Penella Good the chance to get the res. Still, these teams are in this position. Mira, Artego, Warriors, as they pick up tons more points. Liquid have closed the 10-point gap to 9 with that 1 kill, but we're not in the placements yet. There's not many more kills have been added, but Liquid can certainly come alive as we get later in the game. But Chunks, Empire and Injeka team locked in battle in School.
Nice nade comes out from Shimboy, but just a little bit undercooked, allows Vinny to get back, but in check are just moving up into this building on the very edge of the zone. What are they fighting for here? Sure, they want to take the other team out. They want to get the hard cover, but when that next circle pops, it is very unlikely they're able to stay in their position. But look at Toyo right now. They could potentially gatekeep whatever team is in here. Liquid, they're trying their best to third party. They've only got 1 kill on the board, 1 point to close that gap, but the longer they survive, the more likely it is that that gap becomes smaller and smaller, and maybe, just maybe, they can overtake it.
Yeah, we're getting ready for that next circle shift, and it's going to be decisive as to who takes the win. Kurt in the middle of the circle, and it goes directly on top of Kurt, and the gunfight, this shooting inside of the sex map will have to start up again if one of these teams want to get out of this position quick enough to take advantage of the circle. Shinboy will take a little bit of damage there, Chunks, but I like the decision from Michael to switch over to the shotgun at close range.
What I like even more, though, is the decision from Toyo to start getting aggressive, realizing that this fight is going to weaken whatever team makes it out. Only 2 players left up now from Empire Game. Michael throws out the nade. Once that pops, he'll have the clearance to start moving in. Purdy Curdy, dead center in the circle almost, playing that rock, trying to bait out some shots almost as Fakes in, looking in the direction of Sparkin. Mira need to try and reconsider how to make this move. They've got 7 kills on the board. We said they needed some big performances, and if they decide to take this fight head-on-head against Liquid, they could potentially close their way to second.
Go, Mira. You got the knock on the Look 12. Now you've got to push that position. Kurt has got to provide cover, but Mira need to crash in that situation. Michael with a shotgun at the ready will jump on out, and that is Mira taking advantage of Michael with a double pump with the shotty, wipes out Injecka team, and the Brit gets it done. Senior Latino elsewhere, and Liquid could not capitalize on Alcudzia's early fall as they will remain in the lead. And now Penella good look to be Penella really good as they move across the road. Sonics with the Panzer hits his target, back he falls. Chunks, it's all down to Fake.
This is absolute mayhem as Penella Good start to send it through the smoke wheel park. Drop shot comes out, but in the end, Sonic's able to trade. Let's not forget now, this could be an absolutely huge game for Team Mirror. They were already on 7 kills. Not only has first place gone down, so has second. Now every point that they gain brings them closer and closer to closing that gap. They take down Valiate as they start to nade over on towards Pure RNG. Valiate gets flushed out. That's 11 kills on the board for them here. Payne's getting caught by the zone, has to start making a move. Senior Latino runs out into the blue. Paynes looks away, but at the last second spots him, able to flush it out. Gets another point on the board, but it's Nightavon with the third party to eliminate him. Fakes in, takes down Souk Hero. Toyo losing another player, but it is Mirror that are sponging up kills. 14 on the board, now making it into the top 4 as Michael falls for Empire.
Yeah, and here come a potentially dangerous, splitting the gap between both of these sides. Glock is there. Remember, these were the teams that battled for the win on Tego last time around, but LFP will step up and get his 7th knock of the game. Penella Good will likely go down now as Warlock is inside the blue. He gets the first aid off, but it's only a matter of time now. He's got 4 first aids, but Chunks, look at the hurt the zone has put on him. And now it's a 4v1v2. Mira looking for a huge win, and it is not a mirage, Chunks. It really is a 3-horse race now for the win inside the Super Cup, as they have come out of nowhere here on Tego to put the pressure on.
They need to get this win to close that distance all the way. Mirror, a team that performs so well under pressure, but they still have Glock to try and navigate. They send it over directly through the smoke, maybe not realizing there was going to be a car there. This could be an opportunity for Toyo to try and get some kills out of the vehicle, but not to be. Fakes in, runs down the hill. Look at all that loot that has just dropped. They are 3-man sending it. They know that Glock is in this position. They need to finish the job. If they take him down, then it could weaken Toyo up, but Glock with the spray takes down one. It's Fakes in who finishes it up. 3rd place for potentially dangerous as Team Mirror on 18 kills with 2 players left to go. Could this really be a 20-kill chicken dinner? It's starting to look that way, Gibson.
It is huge from them. Kawazine will get res, so it's a 3v2 of active players. Well, really a 2v2 until the res kicks off. But Mira have the terrain. But Emmy lands a big shot. LFPs needs his dodge. Duck dip dive and dodge his way in behind that rock, showing that not only can he dodge a wrench, but he can dodge a bullet. Fana on the opposite side, out in the open once more as LFP, and that tempts the shots from Emmy once more. But Emmy is being smart. He's not overstepping at all, but Capitan Chunks, he is nowhere to go as Kawazine will find that knock, leaving it all down to Emmy by the rock. Nice headshot landed. Emmy will step back towards the blue, but Chunks, Mira get it done.
Miraculous plays from Mirror. I stole that one from chat, but it doesn't matter as they finish up the job. 20 kills and a chicken dinner. They have closed the distance for sure. 30 points in a single game. I said it before, I'll say it again. As soon as those top teams go down, Liquid, Alcudzia, Mirror are going to be there to sponge up everything that's left. That is a huge game. I think the highest kill win we have seen in the entirety of the Players Tour, not just the Super Cup. What an impressive performance from Team Mirror.
Well, Chunks, I did my exact words before this game kicked off as would we see something miraculous going into this map, and that's exactly what happened. It wasn't a mirage, it was magnificent from the side, and that is the form that won them the PUBG Players Tour Cup the last time around. Brilliant from them. Shout out to some other teams, PD as well, getting inside the top 4 on this map like they've done time and time again. But massive opportunity lost for Liquid. They couldn't close the gap on Al-Qudsiyah. And when you leave a door open, somebody will walk in, and Mira are the teams that did it.
That was absolutely huge. Props to Michael for the shotgun play as well. It looked for a second like Glock was going to be able to take down another player, but it just wasn't to be, as Mira just so dominant in that game. They kept it a little bit quiet at the beginning, but they just ramped things up towards the end. And of course, it had to be a seat swap to get the win. 20 kills and a chicken dinner. That brings them to 30 points for that game. And just look at that leaderboard. Where are Al-Qudsiyah? Where are Liquid? They are nowhere to be found. 0 and 1 points respectively. I'm not sure what the difference was going into this game, but we need to take a look at that overall leaderboard to see just how much of a difference was made.
Yeah, I think they were in and around 86 points, if I remember correctly. And that win, well, it wasn't 86, it was 79. And they're up to 109 now, just 9 off of Al-Qudsiyah and level with Team Liquid. A third challenger has entered the arena, Chunks, with just 2 games to go.
Wow, talk about closing the distance. 2 games left and now everything to play for. Both Liquid and Mira are hoping that Al-Qudsiyah make a mistake, that they trip over themselves, just lose out on points that they have been getting so consistently. If Al-Qudsiyah don't perform well, then there are 2 teams biting at their heels, ready to close that distance, but there is still 9 points in it. They have themselves the smallest cushion imaginable. We should also focus down towards the middle of the pack because it's the top 8 teams that get the cash, and right now there's only a few points between it down there as well.
Yeah, and give credit to Penella Good as well. They gathered quite a few points in that game that gets them a little closer to that 8th spot as well, and I've seen a lot of love for that team inside of chat. So Penella Good climbing that leaderboard as well. But Chunks, we are going to jump into a quick break before Rondo, where maybe we'll see a little bit more randomization of that leaderboard. We'll be back in a few.
Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. This year, we're introducing structured competitive play in third-person perspective mode for players of all ranks, levels, and ability. Here's how it works in EMEA and Americas. PUBG Players Tour competition is held in 2-week phases. Each week, you and your squad can compete in player scrims. Think of these as a great alternative to ranked play. Each day of scrims will feature a variety of maps, with defined team and lobby sizes to ensure a balanced best-of-3 rounds. Teams will earn points based on their performance, and daily leaderboards will track their progress. When the scrims are over, the top teams will qualify for the PUBG Players Tour Cups, where they will be joined by up to 10 invited teams, featuring some of the best players in the region. Players Cup leaderboards will track team performances across 2 days of play, with the top 8 squads progressing to the final round of competition. Players Masters are the pinnacle of the PUBG Players Tournament. 8 teams from each of the 2 cups will engage in fierce competition for a huge prize pool in each region across the PUBG Players Tour season. And for times when a Players Masters isn't scheduled, you can still get your PUBG Players Tour fix with Super Cups. These work just like Masters events, where again, 16 teams, 8 from each of the 2 previous Players Cups, compete for a share of the total cash prize pool. Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. You know the game. Be a player.
Well, that map certainly put the cat amongst the pigeons now, as Team Mira, who we were wondering when they were finally going to come to life, have really put themselves in the mix now, as 2 becomes 3 chunks, and it's not often with 2 maps left that a 2-horse race sees teams be added to it rather than being eliminated.
No, we were saying before we started tonight how much we wanted to see something out of Mira, how, you know, they can be one of those teams that is so dominant, and we saw a prime example of that. I think both of us had kind of ruled them out because of how much that gap was, but when you get a 30-point game, yeah, anything is to play for now, especially if Alcudia Liquid, they drop some points. The same can be said across the board, though. We were kind of hypothesizing in the break, what if we get a final 3 with those teams? Imagine how exciting that would be. It's at a point now, if you're in that top 3, you can't slip up, you can't make a mistake, because every place that you lose is a significant change in terms of the prize pool.
It really does, and like coming in top spot with that 1500 is a really nice boost to the coffers. But for the stat nerds out there, Chunks, we have a 3-horse race with 9 points separating first from third. With that being the case, the average win, you know, apart from that crazy game from Mira, is what? 16 to 24 points in and around that bracket. So you're talking about a maximum, really, of 50 points for these teams to garner over the course of the next 2 games. So the real question is, which team is going to grab this lobby by the beep and really take things from here?
Yeah, I mean, only time will tell. We would not have predicted, even after our first game, that things were going to be as close as they currently are. It seemed like it was between Liquid and Alcudia, but now that is quickly starting to change. This first zone is going to be an interesting one to watch, see which team it favors, because when you look at where teams like Mira, Alcudia, Liquid are, they're all in a relatively similar position. If it drops dead center down to the south or something, then these teams are going to have to try and navigate a difficult rotation. But it seems like Liquid, Alcudia, they both get the zone. Mira are going to be the only ones that have to fight into this one.
Yeah, but Mira have got a clear path in through the edge. Like that land crossing that they can make in is really big for them. But Alcudia have perfect position inside the circle. Liquid ain't too bad as well inside a stadium, but they've got company. But it looks like Liquid are putting the pressure onto 55. But we will keep an eye on what's going on between Corrido and Pure RNG. Valiant closing the gap. Richie out in the open here, Chunks. The AK, the weapon of choice, with 60 rounds in reserve.
Valiant just hoping he sees something from Richie here, listening out for footsteps as Luke 12, Purdy Curdy, each able to get a point on the board as Fake is laying it down prone. He's got the barrel in hand. He's decided not to peek up and take any shots as Liquid quietly pass. They know that there is a player down here, though, and they are looking to clean things up. Remember, 9 points between Liquid and first place.
Bye-bye.
Now with 3
Surely.
already on the board. This could be huge. Alo, it looks like he spotted him out, and yes, he does. Down goes Fake. He's down to 5 points now.
Yeah, 5 points. That gap gets a little bit smaller as Liquid kick things off right. Penta with a great headshot with a M4 spray with the iron sights. Still looking for a scope, but Pure RNG draw first blood here in the battle for Hongshan. And with that, they are going to take real advantage. Peeking out, Chiquito will manage to dodge those bullets from the opposite side from Valiant, but Penta Chunks just not having a scope is such a limiter in these battles.
These players, they are used to playing with scopes, obviously, in the late game, but if I know anything from watching them play ranked, competitive, or casuals, they are used to taking these hot drops, and it's about getting those hours in, getting those reps, preparing to be under-equipped. And it seems like right now, that is what Penta is having to try and navigate. Corrito have now got all 4 players back up. But we've seen fights in this compound before, and they are such a slow burn because neither team wants to be the first to try and cross that road. It seems, though, like they've sent Lobes out to the west to try and get a bit more intel, maybe get a bit of an off angle, but ultimately I don't think he's going to be able to close the distance without Richie spotting him. It looks like Chiquito either trying to run away for his team or do exactly the same and play a very wide angle to try and catch someone from pure RNG off guard.
Yeah, might be looking to secure a vehicle for his team as well if things go from, you know, he needs that bug out plan. But Penta will take a little bit of damage here. Richie took some on the opposite side, but I'm keeping an eye on the other side of this fight. You look way off to Panic on the other edge. He's got the M249 at the ready. He could cost anybody who tries to cross this road a ton of problems, as Chiquito couldn't spot a car chunk, so he's going to wrap his way back around.
Okay, looking out for Valiate, but again, no scope on that weapon, under-equipped to be able to take a team fight. Chiquito is starting to now wrap round to the south, has gone wide enough. I do wonder what angles he'll be able to get, because again, with this compound, with this town, it is very hard to find angles through those doorways. You really have to try and get those open garage doors, be able to spot them through. Smoke's now coming out from pure RNG. Penta looking eager to make the push, but look at this Valiate. He's got an idea that someone could be wrapping. It's almost like he's covering. I think he may have a scope to work with. If Chiquito doesn't land these shots, then it would be the end of him, but he doesn't take any, and therefore his position is still unknown.
I think, yeah, he's prioritized keeping his position hidden rather than going to get that knock. So with that, he will hold this spot. Penta will fire once more as a little bit more damage is dealt, but Chiquito is not far away from Valiant here at all. And with the rest of the players trapped inside the corner, this fight is still going to be a really hard one to call because they know where Chiquito is now. He's a solo trapped inside this building. Penta is making sure that the rest of Corito can't move around, and that will enable Valiant to take a 1 versus 1 if he can get close enough to this building.
I want to see Loeb start making a move around, but Valiant, he's been able to take down Panic Show. He knows that Chiquito is roughly in that area. Penta might be able to catch him from behind. Loebs needs to start pushing onto this to try and close up this fight. Right now, he's almost out of it. He's not going to be able to take any shots, even if these Corito players do decide to engage. But look at this from Valiant. He is going so wide around. This could potentially catch Corito off guard. Loebs doing the same. They are closing in, surrounding Corito, and I don't think Corito are fully aware of it yet.
Yeah, they have no clue that Valiant is making this crossing. He's going even further wide than what we saw a little bit earlier on the opposite side with Corito, with Chiquito being the one who made that move. Penta with 300 damage is still there on the edge, but where will the next domino fall in this fight? Pure RNG. Oh my god, Jam with a panzer into the soul of Chiquito, and Pure RNG really getting the advantage back in this fight.
Jam closing in the distance. Corito now realizing that Loebs is going to be behind, using the third person, trying to get some info without exposing himself. He did see Richie closing up the angle, but needs to get ready for the peak. The nade timed perfectly, though, as Loebs going to be forced away. Tries to make the run, but the Corito are swarming. Penta able to shut them down as Panic Show gets knocked. Richie looking for Loebs, but he's down pro, and he's not going to be able to see him. Penta does the same. They're just trying to met up Corito now with 2 players down, and Pure RNG with 2 players healing up. They are back in the fight as Jam and Penta need to try and get across the road. Loebs, he's got another Panzer, does a little bit of damage, but it's going to be Richie who ends up catching the headshot.
Yeah, Richie, though, with only bandages, needs to step away from the blue zone, but he can't get far enough away as it hits his toes and he hits his knees. And that means that there's only one member of Corito left standing. K. Lopez is wrapping around. Look where Valiant's gone, by the way. Valiant's gotten all the way across the back, but he gets nothing for it. Penta gets the kill. Corito fall. And that is Pure RNG winning that battle inside of Hongshan. And now they can look north towards the circle.
But what have they got to work with? They've expended so much utility on this fight. They haven't had the opportunity to loot properly, and they have a long way to go. Now, Valiant, we've seen what he's able to do out in the blue, but is this a question of maybe it's a bit too much? Team Liquid, they already got those 4 kills on the board from taking down 55 Esports. For the time being, they're going to be happy with how things are looking, but they need to continue to close that distance because Alcudia are in prime position to sponge up kills as this zone closes in and more teams surround them.
Yeah, Penella good rotating in as well. We could see Sonics was getting a couple of love taps from his teammate behind, but he'll wrap his way around. About half battery left inside that E-bus, but remember, if an EMP zone appears upon him, that thing becomes utterly useless as Team Mira almost finding a bit of damage onto Penella good, but they can keep wrapping. Like, if you have the map stream open, Chunks, they have a lot of real estate to work with.
They certainly do, but OMG, maybe not so much. Emmy getting ready for the spray, tries to connect, but nothing coming of it. Capitan tries with a 3x, pops out a tire, switches over to the mini. Can he land the headshot? Seemingly not. OMG just about getting over to safety, and they're going to be happy about this circle shifting their way. They just need to try and find something as Foradores now also starting to get involved, taking them down low. They've got a dip to work with, but this is not by any means an end game position.
Ah, yes, Test Track and Neox Factory inside of Phase 2. I wonder where the zone could go from here as LG have a position to the north. Typhon currently the only team inside of Test Track, but I'm looking a little further north. Alcudia, Injeka team, Mira, all of them will be moving in from the north. All of them will be looking to take some real estate up on this section of the map. And remember, Alcudia are the ones that are trying to keep hold of top spot.
Roth trying his best to hit the spray, but look at this from Foradores. This could be an absolutely huge nade coming out from Infinite. It doesn't quite connect, but he does land the headshot onto JO809. Follows up with the Molotov. Will this be a little bit closer? Seemingly just a tad short for the time being. Deployable shield is up, and Pains uses it to full effect, taking down Infinite as Foradores are super split right now. They need to close in for this trade, but that involves sacrificing hard cover as OMG, they switch their attention, trying to take down Emmy. They're not able to, but look at that in the kill feed. Alcudia, they've got themselves on the scoreboard for this match. They are looking to try and grow this lead as much as they can.
It was closed by 4 points, but now they've gained one of them back once more as Liquid have got full control of the West, but Injeka team, a knock on to D. Selfish with a perfectly timed nade here, a perfectly thrown arc, might just ruin their chances, but Roth is there to do some damage onto Selfish. He gets a little bit of smoke cover from his teammates, and it was a bold push from Injeka team to try to wipe out what was left, but good positioning from Roth, good teamwork, provides the cover needed for Alcudia to get their plane back up to a 4.
Vinny trying his best to spam through those windows, but nothing connecting just yet, as the circle will be halfway through its move. Every team seems to be relatively settled in check. They are trying to get aggressive. They do want to open up onto Alcudia because right now they don't have a great position. They are on the very edge of the circle, and just look on the map feed at how many teams are right in front of them. If you guys want to know what we're talking about, don't forget !map in chat. And, you know, if you type in some commands in, do !register, get involved in the next set of players' scrims, potentially be here in the next Super Cup.
Oh, look at that. Kurt picks himself up a FAMAS, and he's got 4 grenades in the backpack, so he is ready to go to war if needs be. They've got full control of the West. That means that they only have to look inwards towards the circle. That's what the good edge teams do. They clear it, and then they know they only have to look one direction for the next few phases. Circle getting ready to shift. We're about 10 seconds away here. Chunks Empire inside the EMP zone, but I see all that ridge line to the north of Empire. It's still clear. Neox Factory is still clear, but it doesn't matter because it shifts up towards Bamboo.
It does, and I'm not sure whether you notice the same thing that I do. Pure RNG is still out in the blue here. Valier is going to be the first player to make it in. Maybe not expecting potentially dangerous to be up ahead of them. They do need to be careful. Live with a couple of shots down towards Alcudia takes Relo down low. But Mirror, they are working their way around this hillside. They need to try and find an entry. All of our top teams right now, Mirror, Alcudia, Liquid, all in roughly the same position. It's not going to be an easy one as Valier having a pretty tricky time, throws out a nade, gets down the hill, uses the smoke for cover, but ultimately he needs a ride and it's going to be risky to pick him up.
Yeah, and you can see he's low HP having come from the Blues. The Blue Zone will tick him up. He has 6 first aid kits and a couple of bandages that he could use at any time, but first thing is first, focus on any threat that might be nearby. Here is that pickup. So we will get back inside the vehicle. PD not able to get the kills at this time of asking, and they will continue to wrap north, and that runs them into a collision course with either Team Liquid or Foradores, depending on where they're going to go. But Chunks, we said we want to see the top teams going into the late stage of this game. They're all still up, but Luminosity, Good thought about the crash, but they just didn't go for it.
No, LG, they're going to try and punish them for running away. It doesn't seem to be the case as Snaker's not quite able to connect. LG, by the way, looking in a very strong position inside of this zone. We often see them take the 2-2 splits, but that's not going to be the case right now. Purdy making the FAMAS work, takes down 2 from Good, make it 3. Can he get the squad wipe? It certainly seems that way. Warlock also falls. 8 kills on the board for Team Liquid, and now there is only 2 points between them and first place.
Level 3 backpack has enough room for his 3 teammates as he's carrying the brunt of the point burden right now with 5 kills on the board. Kurt doing bits for his side with a FAMAS. Things that you love to see. PD though, they're now there. Slabby with that Panzer. All Murillo has to do is peek around, and you know that Slabby will send it that way.
Beautifully done from Purdy to get the kill as Lobes finishes off players from Toyo. Jam following up with the second onto Capitan as Toyo facing some trouble, but Slabby throws down the nade. Hopefully can follow it up with a Panzer if he gets the knock, but not to be the case right now. 4 Adoras have backed away. Phase 3 closes, and now we will see where Phase 4 takes us up to the north. Liquid, Alcudia both inside of the circle, but Mirror have a nice entry to make it in here. Only going to be 1 player left up from Toyo as Valier flushes out Sukiro. Jam tries to close in to get a second.
Yeah, Pure RNG up to 6 kills now, looking to add a few more to the tally as they will wipe out Capitan. Couple of taps from Jam, and that's kill number 7. If I'm not wrong, Pure RNG had a good game on Rondo here yesterday as well, so they'll look to keep up the good work. But Chunks, Mira are in the circle, Liquid are in the circle, and Alcudia are there as well. I think that it's going to be fireworks the later we get into this game, the longer that all those teams are still alive.
Potentially dangerous, potentially under fire from LG, but their attention gets drawn to EMEA, and that's Toyo down in 13th position. First kill on the board for the game for Luminosity Gaming as they try to flush out a second. Gats decides to swing round wide, but look at this. Mirror, they're starting to get on the board, and what amazing shots from LFP. Takes down one, flushes it out, then finds the head of Aliv. Only going to be Robert left up. He's a little bit further afield from the rest of his team. No support for LFP here, but honestly, with shots like that, I don't think he needs it.
Yeah, and he's going to know that Robert's below as well, because the only reason Alir would peek this angle like that is to feed information to his teammates. So that means that LFP will know that the player's below. Luminosity, 1 kill for them. Liquid off in the distance as they look to put some pain onto their North American comrades a little further away. But for LG, they're chilling. All 4 players up, compound in the center of the circle, in a circle where there's very few compounds to play, and they've got lines of sight onto so much of the lobby.
Gats looking out for those pure RNG players, but just not able to get the line of sight. Switching over to the 4X, looking to find a spray here. That's what he does, but he can't connect with it. Nade comes out as the rest of the team follow up as well. LFP eliminates Robert. Yet another kill on the board for Mirror as they knock Psycho as well. LG closing in, but they cannot run over this ridge. They will expose themselves too much, so they just have to settle for a little bit of a red zone as Gats with one huge nade eliminates Valier, Lobes, and Jam. It's Samcro with the BZ to finish off the job, and LG wiping out pure RNG.
He gets all the points for LG there with those kills, and here is a nade and a half. It bounces up, it's perfect from Kawazine. He gets 2 for the price of 1. What a nade that was. And Team Mira are putting some serious kills on the board as well. Big plays for them, and it is so good for LFP. More like LFG, the way he is putting points on the board for his team, and Mira making a big run here at the end of the night.
This is huge for them. 4 kills on the board, looking to make it potentially 8 if they can clean up Samcro, but as of now, they've not been able to spot him out. Tony is back in the fight as OMG making their push onto Empire. They've only got a bit of a ridge to work with, but Mirror's third party onto Empire could open them up to OMG. And just look at the teams that are currently standing. We've still got our top 3 in very strong positions. Mirror, sure, they're going to struggle to make it into the circle, but as of right now, they don't care because they are getting kills left, right, and center. Potentially dangerous, getting shot from left, right, and center as Foradoras take down Gabriel. Only going to be Glock and Slabby left up as the truck blows up. Nearly takes down a player. They get a little bit more deployable cover, though.
Yeah, the E-Bus is no longer able to go, but it can't be exploded now, and it is just cover as things stand. Foradoras, 1 kill on the board for them. They're hunting down Glock. Maybe they'll be able to find these kills onto him and Slabby, but he and Slabby have fought their way out of positions worse than this in the past, but there's no explosive utility, but there is some in the hands of Tokyo as he will drift that nade in there and wipe them out, and another team falls. LFP now, look at this, 2 teams fighting with Njeka team from afar as Liquid are getting involved. Roth is getting involved. He will take down a knock onto Kurt as these teams are now battling it out for the win. And LFP gets his 5th kill. Chunks, Mira are on the move.
7 kills on the board. They're looking to try and take down those vehicles, potentially expose Tony, but right now the smokes are there, should be able to provide a little bit of safety. Poonage takes down 1604 as OMG losing another player. Furhopper also eliminated by LFP. Alo goes down for Liquid as Bale doing what he can to find that opening. This could be a huge name from 0809, but it's not to be. Bale Frost finishes off the job as Empire now looking to get the revive. 3 kills on the board. 8 teams now remaining, just waiting to see where that circle moves.
And they've got a rock. Here's the Typhon move. Foradoras with 4 kills. Can they get a couple more? Tony is going to get the knock, but he's traded on the other side. Vox will get that knock and kill, leaving it all down to Samcro. But can they get him before he gets Murillo? Because here comes Poonage and Empire looking to secure their borders. Poonage will get the knock onto Infinite, leaving it all down to Tokyo. He's got his back to the wall. He will find 1 kill, but he's still looking the other direction. There was another player there. It was Bale Frost, and Foradoras will go down. 6 teams left alive, and yes, your top 3 are alive and well. And I don't think that we're going to get a res onto LFP at this point.
right now, just mutually assured destruction, trying to take down every player that they can. Andrew out in the blue, still using that shield for cover. He tries to make a run. He's only got 2 first aid kits left, and it is not going to be an easy one in phase 6. Kirk goes down as Liquid on 8 kills right now. An absolutely huge game, and now into the top 5. Sparking trying to use the rock to find an opening onto Alcudia, but that nade is close. Will it be able to connect? Unfortunately not. A little bit of damage onto Roth, but still, Liquid, they are gonna have to cross this road sooner or later.
Here we go. Your feature presentation is about to begin. Liquid and Alcudia thinking about locking horns, but Empire are going to momentarily distract Sparking, who now needs to look the other way. Do not be surprised if this kicks off that Mira might go, you know what? We can stab the knife inside the back, but instead, Mira now making the move for center circle. They see the dip, they see the rock, they're making the play for the game as Shinboy will find the knock onto Alo, but they may have just made this move fractionally too soon, Chunks, because LG have an angle on the side, but Liquid are limping in the corner as Empire and Alcudia are holding them out.
But Michael, he preps the frag grenade. It seems to be on point. Lands the spray, but it's Kawazine who trades it and gets the knock in the end. 8 kills on the board for Team Mirror as they try to add to that tally with the Molotovs. LG start to make a move, but it's going to be Fana who keeps their heads down and keeps them away. LFP using the rock for cover, trying his best to support as Mirror in a very difficult position. Alcudia, they've started moving out the compound. They are ready to try and defend Liquid. Liquid, as soon as they make a push, they are going to be getting shot from all angles. Alcudia have fanned out, but Empire still have some high ground to work with. Right now, all of these teams, they've got to be getting shaky, especially if they know and have been paying attention to the kill feeds. They know who they are up against. Alcudia playing this high ground. This position from Roth could be absolutely huge if he can get the info, but they are still wide open to Liquid if they peek.
Yeah, Mir have gone for a 2-2 split as well, because if you all consolidate in one spot, one good nade could do the damage. The circle works away. Balefrost will get the knock onto Fake, and all these little dominoes, all these little webs are starting to unravel as we get closer and closer to finding out who your Super Cup champions will be. Luke 12 steps on over. Roth was distracted, and Liquid will find that knock. 8 kills for them, 9 for Mira. They're closing on Alcudia at the top as Kawazine now will get knocked as well for Team Mira as these players are losing players place by piece. Blue zone's thrown. The blue is pushing in here as well, Chunks. Phase 7 and Mira are down to just 2 players standing.
It feels like as soon as one of these top 3 teams get a knock onto another, they immediately lose a player. But in this case, it looks like Alcudia have been back up to a 4-man. Liquid, they are repositioning. They might have to use this vehicle to rotate as Fana goes for the spray. He just can't connect onto LG and still needs to be cautious of Bizla behind. LFP takes him down, so that eases a bit of stress. But now they need to deal with the LG players up ahead. They do exactly that. Vox to fall, only going to be Snakers left up. The nades are in hand. They know where he is, but can they connect? It seems that they think he's over at the crate. The nade goes over the other side of the rock and it does not connect. Mirror on 9 kills now. It is a scrap for first place.
This is brilliant. Team Mira, 2 players up. Fana hasn't got any kills just yet, but got that knock onto Vox, and Vox is just crawling around the crate. You've got to be worried about Empire, though. They've still got 3 players alive as LFP is creeping his way around the corner. Alcudia and Liquid, that nade is fantastic. LFP, he steps up, he gets one, he almost gets Beal, but there's the shots on the other side. LFP, though, he's got him dead to rights, and he does get the knock onto Beal as Empire falling apart at the seams, and Mira pick up a couple more as it is now 4 teams up with Liquid torn asunder. LFP gets a couple of kills, so does Cowboy. Liquid are down, and Alcudia have 4. It's a 4v3v1. Fana will go for the res, Chunks, but Alcudia making big moves at the end.
This might be the opportunity for Mirror to get back up to a 2-man. Now only Vox is going to be left up here for Alcudia. 3 teams remaining, 2 of which are in our top 3. LG really going to decide at this point who wins and who loses at the end of this game. Only Vox left up. He's not going to stick the revive. He's got the player crawling towards him, but if Mirror are able to spot him making the move, they'll know where to throw their nades. Look at this from Mirror, though. No bullets in reserve, no vest, no helmet. LFP is going to have to play out of his mind if he wants to deal with the immovable object that is Alcudia. They are stuck up over at this rock, using it for cover, waiting for that final phase. As LG, they're going to have the center for phase 9, but that's no use when Die is able to land shots like that. Again, though, another player with no bullets in reserve. LG go out in third position.
They're going for the
it's
deny.
a 2v4. Do they deny, though? It looks like they're positioning like they want to fight this.
No, they're denying. They're getting out of there. Fana's going to go prone. They know it's Alcudia. They know that they've got enough points that will put them right into the mix, and that might not be the entertaining move. It might not be the move that the viewers at home want to see, but that is the smart business move for them. Alcudia pick up 15 points, but it is 20 plus points for Team Mira, and they have really fired up this one. But Chunks, Liquid, with 7 or 8 kills of their own and a top 4 appearance, they are right in the mix with 1 game to go. This is really going down to the wire.
And Liquid putting on a show. Purdy Curdy getting the squad wipe on his own with the FAMAS. Absolutely huge play from him, I think. And this is caster math, so don't rely on me for anything here. I think that might have been enough to put Mirror up into first place. They were able to get 15 kills in a second place, while Alcudia, they only had 5 kills on the board. I think that might have been enough to take first place, but obviously it's still going to be close between all 3 of our top teams.
Chunks, I think they're going to be 3 points behind. They were 9 points
That's
off.
also
they got
caster
20.
math, so...
Yeah. They got 20. They were 9 points behind. They got 21, but Empire got 15. So the net loss is, or the net gain is quite there. But they have really heated that one up. And look, LFP has been putting on a show today. Phenomenal plays from him. He peeks up, he wipes out one team. Cowboy picked up a couple of kills for Alcudia there as well. But in the end, it was Alcudia getting that chicken dinner. All 3 of your top 3 teams, Chunks, were alive and well going into that top 4. I cannot wait to see that leaderboard.
It's going to be a close one, and there it is. Team Mirror, 5 more points than Alcudia, which themselves only had 2 more points than Team Liquid. Sure, LG, they had an amazing show in that game, but we are all about that fight for first place right now. We have to take a look at the overall standings to see exactly how this is going to wrap up. We still have 1 game left, and ultimately everything to play for, and by the looks of things, it is going to be Alcudia narrowly holding on 4 points in it. If Alcudia don't have a strong performance this game, it is certain that either Team Mirror or Team Liquid should be able to close that distance and take first place.
And you cannot rule out Team Liquid as well. They are 11 points off. Every single point, every single kill is a point. A win is 10. So Liquid, a win in the final map of the day could just do it for them, but it will depend on the circle. Remember, Liquid, they love to drop way up on the north. Actually, no, if I'm not wrong, Liquid have been taking the Pachinki drops inside of Erangel, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to be in the middle of the circle.
It depends. Depends on the circle, doesn't it? And only time will tell where we end up. If there's one thing I have learned from the Players Tour is don't make any predictions, because you will be proven wrong. As soon as we think we're going to have, oh, Pachinki's going to be dead center of the circle, that'll be nice and easy, we're going to end up in Primorsk. So don't rule anything out. There's still 1 game to go and everything to play for the top 3.
Could COEC and Alcad win, or will there be that miraculous final day run from Mira? We will find out very soon, but we're going to jump into a quick break, 3 minutes and 45 seconds to be precise. When we come back, it'll be the final game of the night.
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no way, with a heavy metal. Real life, main stage, tear it up, rebels. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop.
Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. This year, we're introducing structured competitive play in third-person perspective mode for players of all ranks, levels, and ability. Here's how it works in EMEA and Americas. PUBG Players Tour competition is held in 2-week phases. Each week, you and your squad can compete in player scrims. Think of these as a great alternative to ranked play. Each day of scrims will feature a variety of maps, with defined team and lobby sizes to ensure a balanced best-of-3 rounds. Teams will earn points based on their performance, and daily leaderboards will track their progress. When the scrims are over, the top teams will qualify for the PUBG Players Tour Cups, where they will be joined by up to 10 invited teams, featuring some of the best players in the region. Players Cup leaderboards will track team performances across 2 days of play, with the top 8 squads progressing to the final round of competition. Players Masters are the pinnacle of the PUBG Players Tournament. 8 teams from each of the 2 cups will engage in fierce competition for a huge prize pool in each region across the PUBG Players Tour season. And for times when a Players Masters isn't scheduled, you can still get your PUBG Players Tour fix with Super Cups. These work just like Masters events, where again, 16 teams, 8 from each of the 2 previous Players Cups, compete for a share of the total cash prize pool. Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. You know the game. Be a player.
The first ever Players Super Cup is just 1 map away from its conclusion, and what better way could you write a story than Chunks having 3 teams in the hunt as we go to the most tried, true, and tested map in PUBG.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be an exciting one, and don't forget, anybody has the opportunity to take part in the Players Tour. Make sure you do !register in the chat if you want to get more details about how to sign up, play through the Players Scrims, qualify for those Player Cups, and maybe, just maybe, you end up in this lobby in a couple of weeks' time. It has been an amazing series so far. The first Super Cup for Americas. We saw an insane performance come out from Win or Die over in EU earlier. Let's see how things wrap up this evening.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a fun one to watch, that's for sure. If you are just joining us now, remember, Al Qudsiya, Mira Team, and Team Liquid are all in the hunt. At the start of the day, it was a two-horse race, but Chunks.
This circle.
Mira put it in.
This circle? What? I mean, sorry, this plane path.
Stop leaking. Stop leaking the script. Stop leaking the script.
I forgot about the script. It's supposed to be private, isn't it? Where we, see Typhon come back and win it in the end. No, obviously, I don't think that that's going to happen. It is a 3-horse race right now. But this plane path, look, it leans very heavily towards Millie Island. The closest team, and a team that have dropped Millie in the past, are going to be Mira. They are one to watch for, but let's not rule out we could have a Pachinki center here. We could even have it go all the way up towards Liquid's drop. We could have it go all the way up to the other team's drop that I've forgotten which other Al Qudsiya. There are so many possibilities with this playing path. I just can't wait to see how this goes and unfolds, and ultimately which of these teams is going to have to fight in, because it's not like we saw on Rondo where teams are landing around each other and, oh no, Liquid, this could be rough for them.
3 teams, Chunks. We've got a 3-team hot drop inside of Pachinki to kick things off. Al Qudsiya circle, 3-team hot drop. This is cinema. Now, with this being the case, I'm going to write off all of Military Island. You might see Mira potentially rotate in through Millie, but I suspect that they're going to play this really cautious, particularly knowing that Team Liquid are not too far away. But Al Qudsiya, what they need to do right now, Chunks, is secure the power positions in the circle. Yes, you've got Cowboy and D by Multipower, but Rello, hold on way up to the forestry to the north. Make sure that you've locked down Lumberyard. Try to maybe keep Roth on the edge of Milta so that you've got a lot of good places to be in.
What do Liquid do here? I mean, my first thought is they just get out of here. They know that Al Qudsiya dropped down at Milta and in check. They know they're going to be getting pushed. It's going to be a 4-man, from Empire as RNZ doesn't have a helmet, doesn't have a vest, and gets immediately sprayed down. Michael and Balefrost putting in work. They finish down those 2 players from in check. The rest of the team, they're trying to close up potentially, but no, surely they want to turn around from this one. Team Liquid, They just can't justify taking this fight right now. Surely they aren't going to do it. Surely they move away from this position. They try and get out of dodge, because Liquid, Al Qudsiya, they know each other so well. Liquid are going to know where Al Qudsiya dropped. They know that how tight it is for this leaderboard, and they know that Al Qudsiya are going to be favorites in this circle, but in check, they trade things out. Shimboy falls. Andrew holding the back of the wall, doesn't have a scope, but has a hell of a good shot when he takes down Shimboy out of the vehicle. Poonage falls as well. Then he takes down a second. Balefrost eliminated. It's only going to be Michael left up here for Empire.
Yeah, Michael using the back of the UAZ. He steps up through. He's got an SMG as well, but he's got no helmet, a level 1 vest. Yes, SMGs get the buff on body shots and limb shots. Michael will dance around the smoke. It's a 1v1 as he'll confirm out Vinny. And this is going to be it for one of these 2 teams. Remember, both of these teams are inside the money pot spots. So this could be a battle that determines who gets most of the prize pool. The dance will continue. Michael with just 20 rounds remaining, and SKS is going to be used as a shotgun at close range. Michael does a little bit of damage. Andrew has got 10 bullets left to work with. The step across, Michael wins those. He goes for the res on the wrong player, and Balefrost will be picked up. But it's 4 kills for Empire, and they will continue to attempt to climb that leaderboard to get more and more money. But Chunks, I'm going to play devil's advocate on your little point earlier by Team Liquid. Because they're inside of Pachinki, I was about to say Picado, thinking wrong, but because they're in Pachinki, and they know that Al-Qudsiya are inside the circle and around the center, they need to play for these kills. They need to get as many points as they can and sweep their way in, because they're the team in the hunt. So I am not surprised at all that they're sticking in with this fight.
It's high risk, high reward, isn't it? Ultimately, they're locked into the top 3. When you look at the disparity between 3rd and 4th, they know that they're at least going home with cash. But how much of a risk do you want to take? Obviously, when you get from 3rd to 2nd to 1st, the prize pool dramatically increases. So it's high risk, high reward. We'll see how this unfolds for Liquid. It looks like they're going to hang around and potentially try and get some rotation kills when Team Casito push through. Luke 12 gets the first knock of the fight. Bran, the first player to fall, but Luke needs to be careful. He spotted out Robert, taking him down as well. Needs to be careful of a live from behind as he catches the headshot, able to get the kill. Pops up with the Panzer, almost connects onto Alo. It's a 2 versus 1 in this spot. Sorry, Varus is miles away. Alo throws out the flashbang. Now could be the time to peek, but it bounces off the wall, doesn't connect onto a live. Out comes the frag from both sides. A live makes a move. Alo does as well, but he is limited in terms of what he can do. Catches a little bit of damage. BZ nade comes out. That surely has to force Alo out of this position. He peeks up, tries to take some shots. I'm not sure how much intel he really has. A live with the 4x spray takes Alo down low. He falls to the BZ as now Liquid in some real trouble, but Curdy is there from behind to get the knock and to potentially salvage some of his teammates as Team Casito eliminated out in 16th. Liquid playing as a 3-man for the rest of this game, and Sparkin showing disrespect. He is clearly not happy with the hot drop. They knew how much Liquid needed a good game, and Team Casito almost griefing them in that one.
11 points, though, drops down to 7. They're closer to being inside that hunt. 3-player Liquid is still better than a lot of teams can potentially manage. So I have a lot of hope for this team going into the game. But you offer any team inside this lobby 4 points for 1 player, you're going to take it 9 times out of 10. So Team Liquid, although they're down 1, are by no means dead in the water. Elsewhere, Mira, still a country mile away from the circle. Al-Qudsiya are in the center of the zone. And look at the space that's created. All these teams have sent it for circle. 55, OMG, Al-Qudsiya, LG, all playing so central. It frees up bubble positions and chunks. If Liquid or Mira take one of those bubble positions on the edge of the circle and it shifts back their way, all of a sudden they become the power team and they hold the cards.
There are so many variables to take into account here. Al-Qudsiya are playing super split in the center. They need to be cautious of how they approach this one. Liquid with a 4-kill boost now. It's going to help them out a lot in the standings as Toyo tries to land a spray. Pure RNG, they were aware of Michael moving in the vehicle. I don't think he's maybe expecting anyone to be here just because of how far away that zone ended up being. I should point out, by the way, Liquid are all bundled up into a single car right now. We're talking about risky plays, and that's certainly one of them. Michael gets taken out. Empire eliminated in 13th position.
Yeah, and that there will stop the opportunity for Empire of picking up any more points and climbing that table a little bit more. So they'll be watching to find out how much money they have won in the first ever Super Cup in the Americas. Remember, we had Win or Die win a little bit earlier on inside of EMEA, with significantly less points, Chunks, than the top 3 in the Americas are currently holding on to. Panella Good, with all their fans behind them, are moving into Malta now. They've got OMG for company inside this little enclave, this little mini city over by the bridge, and they're clearing it building by building, but OMG are a little further away.
Gibson, it's phase 1 and we've already lost 4 teams. This is insane, to say the very least. Mirror, they're starting their rotation. They're not looking like they're going to go down to Millie Island, but they are looking directly towards potentially dangerous. I don't think they know that there's going to be a squad posted up here, and this could be dangerous, potentially dangerous holding that dip. They just need to keep their heads down, stay quiet, and they could cause a huge problem for Mirror on this rotation. They may hear the vehicles coming over the hillside as Glock, he's twitching, Slabby's there as well. They've spotted out the Mirror players. Down goes LFP. Kawazine trades it out, but he's eliminated immediately after Fanna's the final player left up. And Mirror, the team that have stepped up so impressively in our final day, are now facing a real problem in the form of potentially dangerous in our final game. Fakes in, takes down Nitavon, flushes him out, but Glock finishes off Fanna. Fakes in, the final player left up, tries to make something happen, but Mirror out in 12th, and that has surely ruled them out of winning this.
And that is them done and dusted. Liquid now have got even more chance of winning this event. But Alcudsia now know all they've got to do is outscore one team and they will be your Super Cup champions. And what will happen next, Alcudsia? I'd like to see them stay aggressive, keep the foot on the gas, don't play conservatively, because it's not how this team is set up. They're set up to be aggressive, they're set up to hold ground, and they're set up to hunt and find kills. The circle suits them even more. Liquid still with a long ways to go, Chunks. But I can't quite see on the map, is that Liquid that are calling in that E-pickup that is going right through the heart of the circle?
No, Liquid are just down to the south of Alcudsia right now. They've taken the hillside. They're going to try and gain some info. But honestly, Gibson, in this Liquid position, arguably the next spot that they try to move to if this zone shifts up to the north is the compound that Die is currently holding. We'll switch on to another compound though, as OMG are taking a fight up against Penella Good. Warlock has taken down Furhopper, but the nade flushes out one of Penella Good and eliminates Senior Latino as well. More frags coming through from Warlock as Penella Good try to get the revive. They've got 3 kills on the board, and now 3 players going to be back in the fight.
Yeah, Latino will be back on his feet. Penella Good with 3 kills. It's been a pretty good final day for this roster, as I'm sure their fans are enjoying every second of them picking up points at this option as they go head to head with OMG. OMG, of course, one of the teams that have stepped up inside of TPP. Didn't know them a lot going into this, and they've gotten better event to event. They've realized that these lobbies are difficult. They've adjusted their play style and they find themselves inside the Super Cup. J0809 though, he's holding one angle. The nade isn't good enough though. It doesn't get through the window, and Warlock will continue to stay alive up on top.
Pure RNG, the ones that called out the E-pickup, by the way, they're dropping directly over Alcudsia right now. I'll keep you updated on what's going on over there, but right now, J0809 going for the spray on towards Warlock. It looks like Valiate, he's moved all the way off to the north as the rest of Pure RNG rotate in, so that's a bit of a respite here for Alcudsia. They're not going to get pressured too much. Penella Good doing what they can to try and provide pressure onto OMG, but OMG is just slowly closing in, causing problems. As Penella Good, they are limited on info. They are holding onto these buildings. I don't expect either squad to really commit onto this right now. There's a big distance to try and cross, but 1604 is behind and is sneaking up. The circle is about to pop. We'll see where we end up going. As Liquid, they've tried to get a bit proactive, but it seems that Tony has put down enough shots to force them back. They're now being backfilled by Foradores and Alcudsia. They have an amazing position inside of the zone now. Liquid, I mentioned that they might go for that position. Roth was holding it. Appears to be the case. They are scouting it. They are going to try and backfill the position that Alcudsia just held.
And the onus is on Liquid. 1604 though peeks around the corner with the AUG. He'll get the knock onto Senior Latino. That's his second knock so far, meaning that the bleed out time is going to be a little bit shorter. He rushes down. The kill will be confirmed now as PD rotate on by all of the action. No, this fight will continue though. PNG, 2 players alive. Warlock and Gringo will try to fight, try to deal with OMG. But Chunks, the players are going down. Remember, every single player that falls, every team that's eliminated, why, yes, gets Liquid closer to the placement points to close that gap. It is also kills that Liquid cannot find.
Liquid, they need a big kill game, and with 39 left in the lobby, it's getting harder and harder to find. Cowboy gets a knock onto Glock from potentially dangerous as Penella good. They've only got one player left up. It's going to be Warlock. He knows where Paint is. Goes to the spray. The Molotov lands close as OMG have completely surrounded him. They just need to push through concisely, being cautious in case he's got something like a Panzer in his hand. The Molotov gets ready to dissipate, and now is the time for OMG to push. Flashbangs come through, and they finish off the job. 11th place for Penella good. We make it into the top 10, and Gibson, we are getting closer and closer to placement point territory in phase number 3.
Alcudzia also got a kill there, so that 4-point gap, that was sort of the 4-point closing of the gap by Liquid, has been reduced back to a 3 as Alcudzia pick up points. They're locked in on the trenches, on the hill. It is trench warfare for them as they look to dig in and see this one over the line. And Chunks, don't know how good your knowledge of World War I is, but trench warfare is a slog. It is difficult. It is hard to move players for these positions. And, you know, you think back to that big battle in World War I where the trenches only moved, what was it? Over the course of 2 years of fighting, it only moved like 100 meters. It's insane. And they're locked in the trench for trying to get this win.
Gibson, I thought you knew by now, whenever you test my knowledge with anything, you are disappointed. So we will leave it at that. As Alcudzia, they've got a kill on the board. Looking down towards Typhon Gaming, they are stuck in this position, seemingly. It is a difficult spot to try and rotate out of, especially if the zone pulls over to the east. They are going to have to try and work with ridgelines with a lot of strong teams around them. Slabby as a solo for potentially dangerous isn't going to be too much of a threat, but that zone, it is ideal in terms of our top 2 teams. Alcudzia and Liquid still in the fight. Neither squad has to rotate, and now it's a question of what can they do, what kills can they get. It looks like Liquid, they're going to try and group up on Sparking, but this could be a staging point to take a fight onto Typhon Gaming.
Yeah, this is big, because for Alcudzia, I like it when they're aggressive, but this zone shift has worked against them, and it's shifted in favor of Team Liquid now. But a low kill win isn't going to be enough for the horses. They need a little bit more than just that, because you've got your biggest rivals, the team that you expected were going to be their biggest rivals to qualify internationally, and neither team ended up making it, are the team that you're trying to stave off, the team that you're trying to close the gap on, as OMG move in next door to Team Liquid. Typhon are the neighbors on the other side, and locking them in from behind is Foradores, but these are all potential kill points they could find.
Liquid, this compound that they have, it's not great for fighting out of if they need to make a rotation. Sure, they should be able to defend it well, but so many teams are going to be eyeing it up. OMG taking shots over to 55 Esports, forcing them away. Typhon also trying to land a spray on towards Toyo, but 55, it looks like they're heading straight towards Liquid, and the kills are being shared between Liquid and Alcudzia. In the end, though, it's Kurt that's able to flush them all up. H11, the final player left up, they need to be cautious of, but still, OMG over to their west. They are looking in this direction, trying to gather intel. There are 7 kills now on the board for Team Liquid. They are closing this gap quickly. Alcudzia have nowhere near as many. They have put up a lot of damage, but they haven't been able to convert those knocks.
It's 5 points. They're just 5 points behind now. And remember, the placement points are big. If you win the game, you get 4 more placement points than second place. As Jam will find a knock onto Capitan. Toyo battling up on top of the ridgeline. But this circle, as things stand, really does suit Alcudzia and Liquid. I really hope this goes down to the wire. I really hope that those 2 teams are battling for the win at the end, and neither team decide to step into the blue to try secure the win. But great shots from Psycho onto Benya. That'll be a knock. It'll be rezzed, but Psycho, he threaded the needle with that one.
This next zone is going to cause a headache for either Alcudia or Liquid. Either Liquid have to move out of this compound and work their way up the hill with so many teams down to the south, or Alcudia have to try and make it down a barren hillside, and it seems like Liquid, they're going to be happy in their position. Alcudia, this is going to be a difficult rotate. They can take the vehicles, but it is not great terrain. There is a chance that one of these vehicles flips on the way down. They are really going to struggle battling for position, especially when you take into account the fact that Toyo are up to the north and will have some high ground. Alcudia, I wish I could listen into what they were saying right now, because they have a hell of a battle ahead of them.
They have to move. Liquid are very close to center right now. Karak, the only player that is really in the middle with his teammate, with the rest of Typhon holding a 2-2 split. But where do Alcudia go? If Alcudia fall now, Team Liquid will just play it out. They'll play more passive, but the longer the game goes on, the more the onus to up the aggression goes. Here comes the push on to Slabby. He's going to pre-throw the first few nade, but this could be a point in favor of Alcudia. Another nade thrown. He steps out. He chases it through the building. He tries to find it. Cowboy gets the kill though, and the gap is back to 6. And that opens up a corridor now for Alcudia to step into the zone through, and that could be massive when it comes to who wins the first Super Cup.
Again, they've got a good position, but they need to think about what are the next steps. On the other side of things, Toyo, they've started to open up as Valiate and Lobes both fall into frag grenade, nearly taking down Penta as well. Karak's doing what he can from long range. Smoke goes up to try and provide a little bit of respite, but look at this. Alcudia, they know just how important these kill points are going to be. Cowboy able to take down EMEA as they look to follow up, try and get a flush. They are third partying onto this Typhon gaming fight. Huge headshot over onto Psycho, but it's not able to convert right now. Alcudia, they need to try and consolidate. They need to group up. This is such a difficult match for them, and now we are in placement points, so it is a case of who can outlast the other and ultimately who can get more kills. As Tony, he looks to try and get kills of his own, but he backs off at the last second before being able to find them.
Yeah, and two teams most likely going to fall pretty quickly now as Toyo and Pure RNG have their backs to the wall with the blue and Typhon between them. Res is occurring outside. Tony's in no rush, but because of the 2-2 split, there is only 2 players up, and here comes the Toyo crash. Psycho will get the knock onto Emmy. He has to reload. He spots one player moving in, but he will get that kill confirmed. As Toyo are going to fall, Sam Crow trying to provide some cover from the side, but Jam is going to drop, and the molly will land right on top of it. Pure RNG are getting annihilated as Toyo step on in. Psycho is there. Karak has closed the gap now too, as Jam is down, and Valiant can go for the res and let Toyo and Typhon fight it out inside the compound.
Penta's still going to be alive after accidentally mollying his own teammate. That is not the way you wanted that fight to go. Typhon looking to try and close the distance. They take down Benya. They've got a little bit of respite now as Toyo going to try and heal up. Sukiro popping the meds. Doesn't look like he's actually got any. Maybe only a boost for the time being. Smokes are being thrown down, trying to prevent the push. Valiate gets back over to Penta. Jam is going to be back in the fight as well. Karak starting to push. Spots out Sukiro. Finishes off the job. That's Toyo out in 8th position. 7 teams now remaining. Valiate just sitting inside the vehicle, hoping that nothing happens. But look at this. Alcudia, they've sent it down the hill. They're starting to get involved in the fight. Rello falls to Karak. Cowboy getting lit up with a little bit of damage, trying to find Seat Swap's kill, but not to be. Gets taken down low, but not converted over to a knock. It looks like Alcudia, they should be able to stay in this. They should be able to get the revive, but this is such a risky fight, and those players are down so low right now, just settling with their position. Liquid also still do not have to move. LG are going to dictate the pace of this game over to the east.
This is Alcudia. They went for it on 4-1 to try to secure the game, and let's see if the play is going to pass off, because they've got kills that they can find. They can ice out this game with a couple more over on this side of the map, because things have gotten a little quieter over on the Liquid front. Rello back on his feet. They're getting the res. Cowboy will confirm another kill. D with another knock. They're tightening the noose on Liquid right now, and there's nothing Liquid can do from afar. They've just got to keep an eye on what's happening elsewhere. And Kurt is going to get knocked by Gats as Kudsia will increase the gap even more with that flush. And Liquid are in a spot of bother over on the opposite side, but they should be able to get the res because nobody is pushing their way, Chunks.
Sam Crow with the long-range shots causing problems for four Adoras, but look at this. OMG are moving over for the same position. It's going to be a util battle now. Who has anything left? Sam Crow, the final player for Typhon Gaming, is now Liquid. They realize how close it is. They've got 7 kills on the board. They are trying to get aggressive. They are trying to make something happen because they know they can't stay in this compound forever. As LG, they third party onto OMG. There's only going to be one player left up for OMG. Sparking throws out a huge nade. Will he be able to connect with it? Seemingly not. But those headshots land onto Infinite to find another knock. Right now, though, Team Liquid, they just cannot convert over to kills, and Alcudzia certainly can. That's 2 knocks, one of which has been confirmed. Only Penta left up. He's inside the blue. Spray comes out from Cowboy, and that's going to be pure RNG finish. There is 7 kills now on the board for Alcudzia. Things are starting to slip away for Liquid. They are throwing out the frags, trying to get any kill points that they can, but in the end, Sparking, he's going to have to move back. Furhopper finally opening up. Sparking falls. Liquid now significantly weakened and with a mountain to move in front of them.
Both teams have 7 kills, so the gap is back to 11. Remember, it's 4 more points for the win, but Liquid are down to just 2 players left alive. Circle shifts away from Alcudzia once more as they need to find a move. Rello is knocked, but they'll get the res and move in. This is really, if this happens as a win for Alcudzia, they have earned it. They have had to rotate and rotate and rotate as every shift from Phase 4 has gone against them. Atlas will find that knock on the Fairhopper, and Kurt is there with the instant need to reduce the gap back to 10 points. But they're going to need to find a heroic amount of points as Gats will find that kill, and Foradores with 4 players up are right next door to Team Liquid. But do they have the utility they need to get the job done?
They can't push over this hillside. LG have been third-partying onto this fight for too long. They just cannot risk taking this push. Vox takes down 1 from 4 Adoras. Make it a second. There's only no cap left up for them here. Alcudzia, they across the road. They managed to get into a compound, but honestly, they lost Roth, and that is going to weaken them a little bit. Huge nade coming out from Alo. He takes down I Am Tokyo. Both teams now in the top 4. There is a huge mountain to climb here for Team Liquid as they do send it into zone. Again, LG are just dictating the pace of the game right now. 8 kills on the board. They have shown up in our final few matches. We probably should have paid more attention to them, but all eyes are drawn to the top of the leaderboard. And seemingly, LG, their eyes are drawn to the top of the leaderboard. Both Liquid and Alcudzia are starting to come under pressure. The nade coming through over to the doorway doesn't quite land it through the window. Potentially going to follow up with a second, but no, it bounces off. LG are causing a problem for both of our top teams now.
If LG can wipe out one of these 2 teams, it could hand the crown over. But remember, Liquid have only 2 players left up. They have 9 kills, but they've still got to close that gap significantly because I believe Alcudzia are on 7 or 8 of their own. Snakers will pull the pin on another nade. This one misses its target, misses its mark once more. So much utility has been dumped inside the magic Harry Potter shack, but nothing has stuck so far as there seems to be a force field around that window, and the Bizzler will get a knock onto Alo, and here comes Gats. Are we about to hand over the crown of the Super Cup in a silver platter towards Alcudzia? One nade from Gats could do it. He throws it. Liquid are running the other way. He gets the knock, but Kurt is there to pick up one more kill. Another nade from Gats, and it lands a bit more damage. He steps inside the smoke, but Kurt goes down, and Alcudzia are your Super Cup champions as Gats gets it done.
What a close ending, but still 2 teams remain, and LG looking to put their stamp on the lobby. They disappointed in our first 2 days, but they have shown up in our final couple of games. Die tries to land the spray over onto the Bizzler. The nade lands down, though. Cowboy falls to Vox as more frags coming through. This might be enough to finish up Alcudia as Bizzler lands even more damage. Snakers gets the kill, but Alcudia, they're going to be happy. You got to think from their point of view, though, right now, how close actually was it? Do they know that they've won? Either way, LG win that game with the power position, 13 kills and a chicken dinner. That's certainly going to boost them up the leaderboards.
Oh, it certainly will. It'll increase their prize money as well. But massive congratulations to Alcudia, our first Super Cup champions, as they got it done. Remember, they came into today with a gap between them and Liquid. They closed the gap. They surmounted Liquid, and they held on to top spot for the rest of the day. And despite Liquid's best efforts in the final map, Alcudia earned that win. Chunks, yes, they got the first phase and the second phase of the circles, but they had to move and battle and brawl their way in through multiple zone shifts to find themselves kills and position and placement, and in the end, the second place was enough.
That was such a close ending, though. If things had gone differently for Liquid off of that hot drop, if they didn't get hot dropped, how could things have changed? You can only speculate, and that is the beauty of the Players Tour. It is so up in the air sometimes. It's a shorter format event. One game can have a huge difference, and Super Cup living up to its name, a superb ending, and everything was to play for. But ultimately, these nades from Gats finished off the job, took down Kurt, and ultimately took down Liquid in 3rd position. It was LG who managed to get the win, and huge credit to them for consistently strong performances throughout the evening. They're definitely going to be a team to watch going forward into the rest of the Players Tour. But just look at how close things ended up being. What, 7 points between 1st and 2nd in the overall standings? We'll have to take a look over at them now just to see how things ended up resulting.
Yeah, I think it's 9 points that should be the gap between 1st and 2nd.
Wow.
And that's exactly what it is. Alcudia are the champs. Credit to LG. That win at the end got them up over the 100-point mark as well. Spoke to players like Gats over the course of the last few months, and they see these tournaments as a nice opportunity to earn some money over the course of the year, get themselves prepared. And Luminosity really do feel like they are one of the strongest teams in the Americas. They will definitely have their eye on attempting to qualify for EWC. They'll feel that they're 100% in the mix as well when it comes to qualifying for other events. But credit where credit is due. Alcudia, they get the win. And I know, I see it in chat, Roth will love being called the first ever champion of the Super Cup, the TPP champ, and credit to the rest of his team as well. Cowboy and D are insane. So much talent on their side of things. They get that $1,500 for themselves. But Chunks, you got to give some love as well to Rello. Rello played his socks off over the last few days.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the individual plays from him, it has been absolutely huge, but still, all the teams in the top 8 going to be taking home a little bit of cash. It is heartbreaking for Liquid. One game, $500 is what they missed out on. It is sad to say, but, for Alcudia, they prevailed in the end. It looked like off of phase 1 they had a bit of an advantage. They didn't get hot dropped, which is a bonus, but ultimately when that circle shifted away, they executed flawlessly. They identified a position, only had one player in. They moved down that hillside. They went down to the compound. They beat Empire Gaming. They beat out Pure RNG. They crossed over the road. They took high risk plays at the right time, and they absolutely paid off. Alcudia 100% deserved that win.
Yeah, they got the win, but look at the kills. Liquid with 91 kills is awesome for them. Mira as well, fragged out. But when you look at that average survival time, just by consistently being inside the top 4s, that is what gets you so many points. Empire in the top 5 as well. They had a pretty good tournament for survivability. But Chunks, that was just so fun to watch, right? Like, these events, they're going to be happening all year round. We had 1,500 this week. There'll be another, another few thousand over the course of this month, another few thousand next month. It all adds up to that $139,000 that is up for grabs over the course of the year. But look at this LFP. We said he had a big day, Chunks. He went ahead and surpassed Luke 12, and he has 4 kills more than anybody else as the most dangerous player in the event.
So impressive to see. I mean, in terms of final day performance, Mirror came out strong. They had such a huge gap to close. It felt like they were in the running. Unfortunately, they just weren't able to do it, but LFP played no small part in that overall performance from Mirror to be able to close the distance, to get into the top 3, and ultimately get into a decent chunk of the prize pool. It was such a tough game, that last one, for all of the teams in the top 3, and to be able to get anything out of it, and seeing Alcudzia and Liquid in the top 3, it just shows the level of consistency that is required in these longer format events, and to be a top team, not only in Americas, but in the world.
Exactly, and if you do want to see even more of the top teams in the world, PGS will be kicking off in about 9 to 10 hours time, so make sure to tune into this channel to find out if 17 Gaming can kick off their title reign in a strong manner, or if somebody else will rise and win the next PGS on that LAN in China. And if you did enjoy this event and you want to take part, !register in chat. That'll take you to the WASDify website where you can sign in. The next event will be kicking off, I believe, in a week or so. You can start taking part in the scrims to earn those points to take part in the next cup, which I believe leads us into the next Masters. But Chunks, I've done a lot of talking. You've done a lot of talking. I usually sign these off, but I'm going to throw it over to you to sign this one off for the night.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining. It was an amazing set of games. I'm off to get outside because it is hot in here. Have a good night, everyone, and enjoy PGS later on.